So welcome to the Zodiac Polarity website. Wow, website, workshop. Where is my brain today? So I find that one of the best ways to understand anything is to understand the dual nature or the opposites. To compare and contrast something to its opposite is the best way to understand anything. And so we're really going to be looking at the zodiac signs and understanding the zodiac by comparing and contrasting zodiac signs to their opposite signs. And what we will notice by doing this comparison is that many of the qualities in each zodiac sign is exactly the opposite of its polarity. And so there are 6 fundamental polarities within the zodiac, and these 6 polarities will be the foundation of everything. Everything in the creation, everything in nature is reflected through the zodiac. The zodiac might be said to be the Fibonacci sequence. It is that fundamental pattern of evolution and life which is inherent within everything. And so as we're studying astrology, this goes beyond simply the study of birth charts and what's happening at this time and the study of the future. We can use the zodiac and the understanding of polarities to understand any circumstance in life, anything or any nature, particularly things in nature. You know, I'm not saying you have to know the sign of whatever, McDonald's Happy Meal toy you have. But in the experiences of life, the experience of nature, everything comes down to these fundamental zodiac signs and the 6 fundamental polarities. And so let's go ahead and pull up our presentation here. And we're just going to begin by understanding what is the actual nature of duality. And so the principle of duality is inherent throughout the created of universe. Throughout the entire universe, duality is a natural law. A thing can only exist if it exists with its opposite pairing. Our capability to perceive, think, sense, and comprehend anything inherently depends upon duality. And so whether or not we want to look at the universe physically, we can go back to the theoretical Big Bang, and scientists have this idea that there was originally a dynamic between matter and antimatter, or dark matter. And this duality, this relationship between matter and its opposite, dark matter, which to us is inconceivable, is the formation of everything. And so we hear these spiritual ideas that all is one. And this is true. All is one. All is interconnected. All is born out of the same universe, the same uniform origin. And yet, there is also separation. Separation is what allows us to perceive opposites. And so separation is also inherent in the creation. All is one and all is separate. Whether or not we consider this separation illusory in nature, it exists for us to be able to experience anything in life. Whether it be the understanding of good and evil, whether it be the understanding of form and formlessness. Our own senses depends upon polarity and duality in order to perceive. We do not just hear via what creates sound, reverberation. In order to hear, there must be silence and sound reverberation. There is the words and there is the space between the words, which gives us the capability to perceive. When we are sensing something that is hot or cold, it is the contrast between these two feelings which allows us to know whether something is hot or cold or in between, or whether or not we're feeling comfortable or uncomfortable. We exist somewhere between these two spaces. When we are tasting, there is a duality, whether it's bitter or sweet. When we are smelling, there is a duality. whether something smells truly poignant or if there's barely any smell. And so duality is inherent within our own senses, our own perception. When we are seeing something, again, there is the form. But in order to see the form, there must be the surrounding formlessness. Duality is also an inherent part of the mind, the way that we think, the way that we conceive and assimilate and put together information is this fundamental dual nature. And we're going to look at this in the Zodiac. We're going to see the nature of Gemini being this breaking apart, separation, labeling the different bits and pieces of information coming to us from the outside and the environment. That way we can understand, we can communicate, we can use words by dissecting, by labeling. And so again, the best way to understand anything is to really compare something to its own opposite. Each sign is going to form a relationship to each other sign. And so relationship is central to everything. Relationship and duality go hand in hand together. Relationship, union, and separation goes hand in hand together. And so we understand something best by comparing and contrasting it to the opposite or something that's different, by exploring the extreme ends of every pole. We can understand that, in fact, all poles are connected. All apparently opposite things do have a meeting point, and that is also one of the natural laws. And so while we look at this natural law of duality, this is the law of polarity, coming from the written piece, the Kabbalion. And the Kabbalion is a Hermetic text which has its origins in ancient Egypt. It has its origins in the beginning of astrology. And the Kabbalion is essentially just a text of natural laws. One of the laws is the law of polarity, which reads, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Isn't that fascinating? When we're talking about hot and cold, they seem completely different, but hot and cold is a measure of feeling, of warmth. Coldness is when there is no warmth. Warmth is when there's no coldness. And so these things are actually all connected. All extremes meet. All truths are half-truths. And all paradoxes may be reconciled. And so there are some spiritual, profound truths in this nature that everything is dual, which is that inherently everything is nature is paradoxical. If form and formlessness both exist simultaneously, if union and separation both exist simultaneously, and they're both true and simultaneously cancel each other out, they negate one another, then the very nature of everything, the life in which we live, is inherently paradoxical. It doesn't make sense, it cannot be comprehended, and yet it is. As soon as we start to conceive and comprehend and use our mind, then everything gets broken down into duality. And because we do want to use our mind and we do want to get a good grasp on the Zodiac, we're going to use our mind to break apart the Zodiac into pairs. So that way we can understand the nature of all of these polarities that in fact meet together paradoxically. So let's begin. We're going to take a look first, going through the Zodiac, and we're going to compare contrasting elements of each Zodiac pair. We're then going to explore how the shadow of any Zodiac sign is actually the result of disbalance, not being balanced with the opposite sign, and the high octave potential of any Zodiac sign, we will discover, is when that sign is brought into balance with the opposite sign. And so this is inherently about nature. It's about balance, it's about harmony. Buddha called this the middle way. When we find balance and harmony and we're not resisting or struggling with either pole, we're not creating paradox, we're not creating duality, but rather embracing the whole spectrum is where we find peace, the middle way, balance, and the high octave of any given sign. So beginning with Aries, we're going to go back and forth between the first polarity, which is the first sign, Aries, and the seventh sign, Libra. We're going to compare these two signs going back and forth and see their polar opposite nature. So what is Aries? The first sign of the zodiac is the birth of the individual. Aries is ruled by Mars, which is the sword that separates us from our mother at the umbilical cord. Aries is about separation. It's about individualization. It's about finding our own way throughout life. Well, what's Libra all about? The complete opposite. Receptivity, relationship, connection and sharing with other people, harmonization. Libra is not about the individual. Libra is entirely about the other. Libra is ruled by Venus, the sign of love and sharing and collaboration and creativity. And so Libra has everything to do with the connection towards others and our capability to share our own values with others collaboratively with harmony and balance. Well, Aries ruled by Mars is about breaking through, initiation, again, cutting the cord. When we look at the glyph of Mars, it has this sword sticking out of its side. It's a phallic symbol that deals with penetration. Aries and Mars deals with penetrating into new dimensions, groundbreaking, new realities, going where no one's gone before. Aries deals with courage and confidence to go on our own. Libra, on the other hand, deals with bridging together, not breaking out, but joining. Libra is about the balance between give and take. Again, receptivity. It's about listening. It's not about breaking through in order to find my own direction and initiate new patterns. It's about tuning in. What are the journeys of others? How can I bridge my own values with others? How can I share my own heart and my own gifts with others? Well, Aries doesn't wait around for others at all. Aries doesn't wait for permission, doesn't wait for feedback. Aries and Mars deals with gut instinctual action. Aries and Mars deals with our individual desires. This is where I'm going to go. This is what I'm going to do. I don't need your permission. No, thank you. I don't need your feedback. I'm going for it. It's instinctual. It's animalistic. It's not considerate. Libra, on the other hand, is incredibly passive, very considerate. Well, maybe I'll do this after we do what everything else needs to be done, what everybody else has to have taken care of. What is the objectives of the group? How does everybody else think about this? Obviously, we're starting to see the shadows of these signs already. They start to really come through when we're not balanced in both directions. And so Libra can be very, very passive. Do I have permission to go ahead and do this? Will my partner like this? Does my partner enjoy this? Are these the shared values? Aries is about craving, desire. I'm going to get that. This is what I want. I'm going to get that. I'm going to do it. It's the hawk's eye, focusing single-pointedly on the desire, on the goal, on the prey, on the catch. Libra is about values, harmony, compromise. Let's agree on this. Aries is, I'm going to get that. I'm going to do that. I'm going fast. No one's going to stop me. Let's consider this. Let's slow down. Do we all agree on this? Aries, separation. Libra, togetherness. Aries is the leader. Aries deals with confidence to be an individual, to go in our own direction. This is leadership. This is not about equality necessarily. This is about follow the leader. This is my way or the highway, is Aries. Libra is equality. Let's make sure there's an even playing field. Libra is let's all sit in a circle, all on the same level. Let's ignore our differences. Let's ignore our gender differences. Let's strive for equality. Let's strive for justice. Aries is single-pointedness. It is sharp, again, penetrative, fast. Think of the arrow. Think of the phallus. Think of the stereotypical man chasing after their animalistic desires and phallus. This is my needs. These are my desires. This is what I crave. Aries and Mars deals with carnal desires, desires related to the flesh. Well, Libra's not pointed. Libra's very round. The circle. Think of the flower of life. Think of that harmony, that balance, that softness, that receptivity, that capability to listen, that capability to hold space is Libra. You know, let's take our softness and merge it with another person's softness, where our values and ideals and dreams can start to bleed together. Libra has this round, flowing nature, an ebb and flow, nice, polite, pretty, soft, elegant. Libras are excellent counselors, excellent speakers, excellent, soft, and melodious. It has this flowing elegance, this feminine softness. Well, Aries is not melody. Aries is the beat. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go, here we go, here we go. It's continuous effort. It's repetitive. It's masculine. It's powerful. It's holding it down. It's breaking it down. It's penetrating. It's sending out those reverberations. It's not the melodious dance. It's the beat that's holding it down. Aries is masculine. Libra is feminine. Aries is confidence, the strength of the warrior, the capability to be protective and defensive and self-assertive. This is who I am. Whereas Libra is this elegance and this flow, this yielding nature that wants to cooperate, that wants to collaborate, and wants to share that beauty, that harmony, and that interconnection with others. Let's move to the next polarity, Taurus and Scorpio. When we're talking about Taurus, we're talking about the earth. We're talking about the body. We're talking about the senses. We're talking about the bull slowly eating grass throughout the entire day, breathing, meditating, enjoying every little munch of that grass as it's slowly processed through all of those stomachs is the bull. Scorpio is not slow. Scorpio is intense. Scorpio is about transformation, birth, death, sexuality. Scorpio is the sign of evolution. When we are evolving in a fast-paced, we are moving forward quickly, we're growing, we're transforming, we're coming into our power, and this evolutionary transformation can be quite intense, even cataclysmic. There are two types of evolution that we go through as human beings. There is the very slow, barely perceivable type of evolution that takes place over many, many thousands of years, slowly, gradually. And then there is cataclysmic evolution, which can be correlated to that analogy, that story, that idea that the dinosaurs once existed until an asteroid struck the Earth and kicked up a huge dust cloud and changed all of the life forms on the planet very quickly, very rapidly. That's cataclysmic evolution. So Scorpio is the sign of transformation, evolution, pushing forward, pushing the boundaries, going beyond limits is Scorpio. Well, what do you think Taurus is about? It's about slowing down. It's about creating boundaries and limits. And the polarity of Scorpio And Taurus is the polarity between evolution and integration. All human beings go through periods of fast-paced, intense evolution and grace periods, where we get to slow down, where we get to calm down, and we get to integrate into our bodies all of the changes that happen through intense experiences. Taurus is about simplicity. Taurus is the wisdom of this earth, the wisdom of the Garden of Eden, that you just stick one seed in the earth and a plant comes up with hundreds of more seeds to create hundreds of more plants, and all you need to add is sunshine and water. And we already would be living in a paradise if we just took care of the plants and animals. It's this real wisdom of simplicity, the wisdom of the garden of abundance, of providing. And Taurus deals with provision, the collection of resources. Well, Scorpio is not simple. Scorpio is the sign of our unconsciousness. Our unconsciousness is what provokes transformation to happen through periodic volcanic releases of unconscious material. Well, oftentimes what exists in our own unconsciousness is our fears, is our phobias, is our unconscious dynamics that are so complex they may seem overwhelming, or they may be too much for us to be conscious of us, too much to be conscious of at once. This is why we aren't aware of our past lives. This is why we aren't aware of all of our childhood experiences. All of those things remain with us at a soul level, but they remain unconscious to us. And yet those experiences and dynamics do not go away. And so we go through periodic upheavals or volcanic eruptions where unconscious material is brought to the forefront, and this catalyzes transformation and irreversible information. Once our deep soul nature comes up, we can't hide from it anymore, and evolution happens. So Scorpio is complex. Our unconsciousness has many, many, many layers. And throughout many lifetimes, it's just layer after layer of the onion coming off as we discover what our deeper soul nature is. Scorpio deals with the nature of the soul, what is deeply beneath the surface. Scorpio deals with secrets, what is invisible, what is beneath the surface. Well, Taurus has to deal with what's on the surface. Taurus is our clothes that we wear. Taurus deals with the five senses. As we said, the senses are dual in nature. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus rules two signs, as we will notice. There are two planets that deal with duality. One of them is Venus, the planet of our senses, and the other is Mercury, the planet of our mind. So Taurus and Venus deals with our own body sensations, our senses, sights, smells, tastes, sounds, hearings is a Venus-Taurus function. Feeling comfortable in our own body is Taurus. Therefore, Taurus can also deal with enjoyment, sensual enjoyment, and this is a wonderful way to integrate, to get grounded, to get spacious. The quality of Taurus is spaciousness. When I think of Taurus, I think of these clear and open fields, the pastures, and maybe these cows or these sheep, throughout this whole hilly side, of just rolling hills and grass, that's Taurus. Taurus is the Buddhist meditator. Simplicity, again, the wisdom of simplicity. The middle way, that balance, that niceness. Again, when we think of Venus, she also rules Libra, what we just looked at. Harmony, balance, elegance, niceness. The middle way is Venus. And so Buddha discovered the middle way because he was meditating, trying to get enlightened, the hard-ass Scorpio path. By doing austerities, Scorpio, I'm going to break through, I'm going to go beyond limits, I'm going to push on boundaries, I'm going to transform, I'm going to evolve quickly. In India, people will stand on one leg for their entire lives in order to get spiritual powers. Scorpio is power, cities. The capability to transform and change our reality is Scorpio and Pluto. Well, Taurus is this peacefulness, this serenity, beauty, elegance. So the Buddha was not enlightened by starving himself to enlightenment. It wasn't until a girl brought him a bowl of rice and he comforted his body, his stomach, and his senses, which raised the level of his consciousness, and he achieved enlightenment, and he realized the middle path, that balance, that harmony, that peacefulness. So Taurus deals with space and simplicity, whereas Scorpio deals with complication, the unconsciousness, as well as claustrophobia is Scorpio. Scorpio is this magnetic attraction and repulsion. When we think about unconscious desires or unconscious fears, such as phobias or sexual fetishes, this is Scorpio area, right? Usually these fetishes or phobias, they don't have any conceptual understanding. They're not conscious. Why do we have these fears? Why do we have these desires? It's like we're magnetically attracted or repulsed by these things mysteriously. Scorpio deals with secrets and mysteries, what's beneath the surface. There are reasons for our unconscious attractions and repulsions, but they may not be so known. When we are magnetically, sexually attracted to somebody, or we find ourselves coming into a very close, intimate relationship, that's Scorpio. Scorpio is sex. Scorpio is two souls merging. Scorpio is the exchange of sexual fluids. Scorpio is also the exchange of diseases, the exchange of the plague, sexually transmitted diseases, cancers, Scorpio. And Scorpio is also this, it's like a black hole, just being attracted in this, just this pinpoint of all attracted, claustrophobic, like a black hole, infinite mass, infinite gravity, getting drawn in. Whereas Taurus is spaciousness, serenity, openness, and sovereignty. Taurus deals with self-sovereignty. I'll take care of myself. I'll manage my own resources. I don't need anybody else. Taurus is the do-it-yourselfer. No, I'm not going to go to school and learn it. I'm going to build it myself. No, I don't need to work for a company. I earn my own money. Well, Scorpio, on the other hand, is shared resources. Our shared bank accounts, our shared desires, our shared values. We'll talk about the relationship between Venus and Pluto deals with these shared values. Taurus is physical, surface level. Clothing, makeup, jewelry, sensual enjoyment, incenses, appearing pretty. Taurus, ruled by Venus, deals with beauty. Scorpio is magnetic, energetic, sexual power. Scorpio is hormones. I'm being just attracted to this person on this magnetic level through the exchange of these fluids or these senses or these materials on a molecular level. That's Scorpio. Taurus is stability, integration, slowing down, calming down, coming into the body. When we go through trauma, when we go through intensity, when we have the rug ripped out from under us, this is where we need balance with Taurus. We need to slow down. We need to calm down. We need to come into our body. Taurus is self-pleasure. Taurus is masturbation. Scorpio is sex with another person, merging with their energy, becoming one, fusing our qualities with somebody else's. Taurus is calm. Scorpio is transformation. Taurus deals with collecting, hoarding. Things make me feel safe can be a Taurus thing. Hoarders have Taurus signatures. Or I collect this thing because it represents this. Scorpio is symbolic power. This thing or this object has a power to it. Taurus is the thing itself. It's the feeling of it. It's the comfortable clothing. It's the good food. It's the sensual enjoyment. So Taurus can be hoarding, collecting so many things. Taurus can be this crustiness, as we'll talk about, too much stagnation, whereas Scorpio wants to constantly change. It's the dance between union and separation. It's magnetic attraction and repulsion, and it's constantly changing. Moving on to our next pair, Gemini and Sagittarius. When we're talking about Gemini and Sagittarius, we're talking about the Zodiac Polarity Workshop in many respects. Because if we look at this sign of Gemini, what does Gemini represent is duality. The two towers, the twins, the two poles given in the glyph of Gemini are the opposites that never seem to come together. Gemini is about separation. Gemini is our left brain, the logical, rational, dissecting, and labeling function that exists within time, that is planning our schedule, that is analyzing, comparing, and contrasting, and coming to conclusions by comparing the past, analyzing data, studying the environment, breaking it apart into bits and pieces of information. That way, those bits and pieces of information can be communicated and shared. So Gemini deals with the separation, the breaking apart of all things to be able to understand and communicate, whereas Sagittarius deals with what? The uniform. What is shared? Sagittarius is the actual connection to nature and the conceptual understanding of anything. It's about singularity. The opposition of Gemini and Sagittarius works together. They rely on one another. Gemini can be interested in a diversity of different things. This is separate from that, is separate from that, is separate from that. Sagittarius is the capability to bring together what is the same between all of these things. There is a universal thread between all of these differences. There is a universal truth that holds these things together. That is Sagittarius. That is our intuition, the big picture perspective, and that is the right brain. So the polarity between Gemini and Sagittarius is in fact the polarity between our own left brain, the rational, logical faculty, and the right brain, which is bleeding through everything, seeing everything as a whole, and has that intuitive bigger picture. Gemini's duality and diversity. Sagittarius is singularity. All of the fire signs have this theme of singularity, right? Aries, the initiator. I'm a warrior. I'm an individual. Leo, I'm at the center of everything. I'm my own unique creative soul. Sagittarius, I have a singular truth. There is a universal connection between all things. It is about singularity, it's about union, and it is about our own perspective of life. There's a difference between analyzing and perceiving. There's a difference between thinking and being aware. Well, Gemini is the thinker. I'm going to sit down and contemplate this and that and the other thing and everything that's in between, and I'm going to measure the past and think about future potential outcomes. Well, Sagittarius is the meditator. I'm going to stop thinking. I'm going to empty out my mind and just focus upon awareness in itself. And it's amazing what that focus on awareness and tuning out the mind can bring in forms of realizations, because it doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the higher mind, Jupiter. That intuitive bigger perspective that can speak directly through us through awareness and perspective itself. Many people don't even know that's possible. But in fact, it's the relationship between our awareness and our mind that allows us to be aware, intelligent human beings. Gemini is the small picture. It's what is immediately in front of us. I've got to do this at 10 o'clock, and then later on I have a meeting. I have choices to make, and these are the options I have. Man, this is where Gemini can get majorly hung up or strung up or anxious. Oh my gosh, I've got to make a decision. And I've got A, B, C, and D. And C is this, and A leads to that, and B leads to this, that, and the other thing, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I like to think of this mental perspective as the rat maze perspective. It's like we're in a rat maze and we're up against a brick wall and we've either got to go left or right. Which way are we going to go? How are we going to find our way out of this rat maze is the mental Gemini polarity. Whereas the big picture perspective and looking down at the rat maze from that lofty bird's eye view is Sagittarius. Oh, well, if we just float a little bit left, we'll find our way out. If we just keep moving forward in this general direction, we'll find our way through. I don't know why, I'm just going to keep moving and moving and moving without thinking about it, is Sagittarius. It's that big picture perspective. It's that higher awareness. Sagittarius deals with nature. Natural laws is Sagittarius and Jupiter. Laws which are universal, which are always true, applicable everywhere, are Sagittarius. Again, this law of polarity, that duality does exist everywhere in the creation, is Sagittarius. It's that natural law. It's that universal truth. It's that higher awareness. Therefore, Sagittarius deals with nature. Highly Sagittarian people are nature people. These are your hikers, your backpackers, your nature folk, your mountain men and women. These are your tumbleweeds, your travelers who want to travel around, visit other countries, other cultures, go backpacking in the woods. They want to connect directly with the earth, with nature, and that sense of expansion, openness. Gemini is in the rat maze. It's measuring, it's inventing, it's processing. Gemini is that openness. Sagittarius is the sense of adventure. There's something on the other horizon. I'm going to expand beyond this limitation. When we meditate, our consciousness is expanding. We become aware of more and more layers. First, I'm hearing my breath. Then I'm feeling my body. Then I'm feeling the environment around me. Then I'm feeling the whole space that's containing everything is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius deals with nature, natural laws, universal principles that are always true and everywhere. Gemini, on the other hand, deals with technology. What do we use our human minds to do? Label, conceptualize. Well, even conceptualization in itself, here's this language, here's this system, here's this belief system, here's these assignments, this means that. This is invention, this is technology, this is mentally constructed. So Gemini deals with invention. Gemini deals with scientific, objective reason. And this is why Geminis are more prone to ask questions than give answers. Gemini is, what's this? What's that? What's that? A Gemini child says, why? A very Gemini soul may say, that sounds like a great truth, Mr. Sagittarius, but can you even really know? Is it even possible to know the truth? With question mark? Gemini is the ever curious, let me ask this question, let me learn this new thing. Mercury is this curiosity that leads us into discussing and discovering more information. Well, Sagittarius is, yeah, there is a truth. Here it is. It's one thing. It's uniform. It's a one size fits all. It's universal. This is the truth. Why don't you just accept it? Sagittarius can therefore be about religion, about beliefs, about spiritual sight in a high octave. Gemini is this trickery, word jugglery, word games, it's contradiction, it's humor, it's parody, it's playing with polarity, irony, I say something differently than how it actually comes off, mental gymnastics, word jugglery, Gemini can be so many words with very little substance. Gemini speaking here. Sagittarius can be no words, much substance. We go and we sit next to a Zen master, they're not saying anything, but their awareness is perceivable. Their awareness may convey a teaching in and of itself as Sagittarius. Sagittarius is answers. This is the truth. This is the way. This is nature. This is life. Gemini is about asking questions. Why? Inquiry, curiosity. Gemini is also about technology, the latest gadget. Geminis love gadgets. Oh man, we just discovered how to do this and that by mixing and matching these wires. And we discovered a whole new way to conceptualize or use energy, or, we just invented the next greatest thing or the next greatest fad. Oh, look what people are doing now. Isn't that cool? Isn't that trendy? Is Gemini. Whereas Sagittarius can much more feel like the societal alien. Sagittarius is the tumbleweed. I don't identify with my own culture. I'm not in with the latest fan. I'm a hiker. I'm a backpacker. I'm a mountain man. I just need to be connected to the great outdoors. Who cares what everybody else is doing? Sagittarius can feel like the alien, the outsider. I'm not really a part of this culture. I'm not identified with my nation. I travel to other countries and feel more at home there. Sagittarius is the outdoorsman. Sagittarius is very blunt. Again, this is the truth, can come on very strong, whereas Gemini can go back and forth and back and forth. It gets often stereotyped as being, wishy-washy or a flip-flopper or half-truths. I feel this way if this is true, but I feel this way if that is true. If-then duality, dynamics is Gemini, whereas Sagittarius is blunt. Hey, this is the truth. Hey, this is what's going on. Can be overly forceful, can be overly blunt at times. Much meaning, no words. Much words. And so obviously we're going to look at these dynamics, how to bring the two in balance. And what we're balancing here is the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Let's move forward to Cancer and Capricorn. Well, here we come to the polarity of physical security, Capricorn, and emotional security, Cancer. Capricorn is out there, the world, our duties, our responsibilities, our jobs. Cancer is our inner world, our emotions, our feelings, our intimate connections to others. Cancer deals with the family, our root upbringing, the past. Cancer deals with our job. Capricorn deals with our job, our role in the world, our work, what we're expected to do out there in the world, what society demands of us, what our societal duties are, is Capricorn. Well, Cancer is very soft, very yielding, very emotionally sensitive, whereas Capricorn has everything to do with structure. Structure, structure, structure. Physical security is Capricorn. In the northern hemisphere, Capricorn season comes in the dead of winter. In the olden days, the farmers had to make sure that they collected enough food to survive the winter. Capricorn's about physical survival. Capricorn is about having enough, dealing with limitation. Measuring limitations is Saturn and Capricorn. Capricorn deals with time, limitation, structure, form. What is defined, what is static. Capricorn deals with rules, authorities, the laws that cannot be broken. These include laws of karma. These include laws of reality. These include the limitations of our own boundaries, of our own bodies, of our own consciousness is Capricorn. Capricorn deals with limitation and boundaries in order to hold us in to form. Capricorn is gravity, holding us down, keeping us in line, keeping us strong. Cancer is soft, is yielding, is emotional, and deals with our inner self. Cancer deals with emotional security. We need both security needs to be met to be healthy beings. Most of our world is focused on the Capricorn outer security. Inner emotional security is the sense of being at peace in ourselves, being able to relate to ourselves personally. Cancer is personal. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on at home. This is what's going on right now. Cancer ruled by the moon is ever changing. Our emotions are ever flowing. They come, they go, they don't always make sense. Our emotions are the opposite of Capricorn structure. The need for emotional security, therefore, is a need to be able to flow with our feelings and feel safe to feel. Feel safe to be our own emotional being. Is it any wonder that Cancer is often correlated to the mother and the child, whereas Capricorn is often correlated to the father or the authority? And this is where obviously sexual, gender, cultural, societal stigmas get projected upon these signs. Who is the Cancer figure and who is the Capricorn figure of the family may not have to do with gender or the mother or the father. But when we think stereotypically, we do think of Cancer being the mother who provides emotional security to the child, which is the principle of nurturance. Cancer is the principle of nurturance. The principle of nurturance is the capability to feel safe, irrelevant of whatever feeling we're feeling at the time we feel it. The mother says to the child, I don't care if you're crying and you can't stop, or if you're angry and you can't settle down. No matter what you're feeling, in the moment you feel it, you are safe to feel. You can be a child. You can express yourself. And no matter what, you will always be my son or daughter. I will always be your mother. So come here. I embrace you. Cancer is about embracing. It's about bringing in. It's about caretaking. Cancer deals with the family and the home. Let me bring people into my home that feels very nurturing, that feels very safe. Cancer is the safe haven. And the very Cancer-like soul likes to do what? Caretake for others. Can I get you some water? Can I make you some tea? Let me cook you a good meal. Let me pamper you. That's Cancer. That is, again, the maternal, caring, nourishing, nurturing principle, whereas Capricorn is about what? Survival. Taking care of ourselves in the real world. This is the role of the father stereotypically, right? This is a dog-eat-dog, fight to survive world. You've got to be strong out there. And so this is what you need to take care of. And I'm going to be here as a practical guide to help you through these trials, to provide you with the resources that you need to be physically safe and teach you how to take care of yourself physically as well. This is Capricorn. Capricorn holds it down, provides that structure, is teaching us how to function in society, is teaching us how to deal with the laws of nature. So Capricorn is outer. It's about physical. It's about providing resources. It's about physical survival. And Capricorn, therefore, has to be grounded, cool, reserved. The highly Capricorn soul, irrelevant of age, is going to act very mature, may not show their feelings. Why? Because feelings get in the way of the job that we need to do. We can't have a bad day when there's so many hours we need to put into work. And so Capricorn can be emotionally reserved, mature, cool, put together, old at a young age. Whereas Cancer can be what? Young, childlike, baby-like if not balanced, emotionally clingy or depending on others. I always want to be with the family. I don't know how to take care of myself out there in the world. But the Cancer can be an emotional master. I make others feel safe. Everybody is my child. Everybody is a part of my family. You are safe to be who you are. You are welcome to express yourself. You don't have to hide your emotions. You don't have to disconnect from your own inner child, your own innermost self. Cancer and the moon deals with our own personal inner identity. How we see ourselves is Cancer and the moon in astrology. The moon is the ego in astrology. The ego is not a negative thing. It is our personal sense of self-reference. Whereas Capricorn and Saturn is our reference to the world, our reference to society, what is needed by us, our duties, our responsibilities is Capricorn. You have a responsibility as a human being. You have karma that you're taking care of. We have limited time as human beings. We do have a job to do as Capricorn. And Cancer is that flowing, embracing, taking in feminine essence that is always changing, always flowing, whereas Capricorn is unwavering, is solid, is protecting, is earning the money and creating a foundation, laying the ground of stability for us to survive and function successfully and practically in the world and in life. Moving to Leo and Aquarius. Well, Leo has to do with what? Leo and the sun deals with our creative purpose, our personal purpose. Both Cancer and Leo are very personal signs. The moon and the sun deal with our sense of self, and Leo and the sun deals with our sense of purpose, our creative purpose, our personal expression. Who we are as a unique individual is Leo. Leo is the sense of being special, whereas Aquarius deals with what? Objectivity, reason. What is our role in the bigger picture? What is our connection to the group? Aquarius is the group. It's the whole hive. You're just one bee amongst many. Whereas Leo is our sense of specialness as an individual. Leo is when we collect so many creative gifts. Leo is the prodigy, the talented child, that ever youthful, ever spontaneous warmth and self-expression. When we looked at Cancer, Capricorn polarity, Cancer is warm, nourishing, nurturing, maternal. Capricorn is cool, practical, mature, capable. Well, Leo is very warm. Leo rules the heart, personal, expressive. This is who I am. Isn't this awesome? Isn't this special? Aquarius is very cool, very detached, very distant. Okay? Aquarius is, you're not special, you're different. You're breaking out, or you're functioning in the group in this way. Aquarius deals with objective detachment, and on the outside looking in is Aquarius. This detached awareness, looking at the whole world from outer space through a telescope, or looking at other planets through a telescope, or looking through this scrutiny, this measurement through a microscope is Aquarius. It's that objective mental reasoning. From the outside looking in is Aquarius. Leo is the inside looking out. This is who I am. This is my expression. This is my purpose. It is the center point. Leo and its ruler, the sun, is the center point of any given thing. The heart, the soul, the unique expression. Aquarius is this outsider feeling. Aquarius can deal with alienation, isolation, feeling on the outside of the circle rather than a part of the circle. Is it any wonder that Aquarius is correlated with extraterrestrials? A very intelligent sign. Also deals with the future. What's ahead of the game? Aquarian souls are natural pioneers, pushing on boundaries, discovering new things because they're different, they're ahead of the game, and they don't necessarily fit in. Interestingly, Leo also deals with uniqueness and individuality, but it's the confidence to be the individual that we are, to express ourselves just like the opera singer releasing its song, or when we sing in the shower when nobody else is around. Woo! Just letting the cat out of the bag is Leo. And Leo is that confidence to be an individual. Leo is also about leadership, being the star. The actor, the Hollywood actor, is such a great example of Leo. And the Hollywood actor may walk around and be followed by the paparazzi, and they don't even pay attention. They have that confidence. They know they're awesome. They're not looking to the outside. They're looking at the inside only. Leo doesn't depend on others. Leo might dictate over others. Hey, you do this, that, or the other thing for me. This is my creative project. This is my direction. Leo is the artist who manipulates the materials on a canvas to create something. I'm manipulating the paint to make something appear this way. This is how I'm doing. Leo deals with leadership, can be dictatorial, whereas again, Aquarius deals with the group. the connection to all of humanity. Aquarius is the sign of humanity, progress, humanitarian endeavors, progressive groups, working together as a whole. Aquarius is the hive mind. It's about going out. It's about disassociation. Aquarius can be very cold, very objective in this way, whereas Leo is the sun, very warm, very personable. Aquarius, in going out, can also deal with the disassociation, which can be healthy because we need separation from Leo, which can just be our ego. This is me, me, can be Leo. Aquarius is, hey, I'm not the only star in the show. The sun is not the only star in our universe. There are other stars, and we're all interconnected in some way. Aquarius deals with interconnectivity with other things, whereas Leo deals with who we are as an individual. Leo is our Facebook profile picture. Aquarius is the internet. It is us connecting through technology, this very advanced progressive technology that is now allowing the whole world to be interconnected is Aquarius. Aquarius deals with liberation from the identity. I am not just an ego, I am awareness. And this can be disbalanced. When we become too disidentified from our ego, we lose our sense of individuality. Aquarius can deal with trauma, disassociation from our identity. This is a typical feeling for people who experience severe traumas. They may have that experience of being on the outside looking in or watching themselves from the ceiling looking down. This is the natural disassociation of Aquarius. Aquarius can deal with trauma, very sharp, jagged, interdimensional changes, whereas Leo deals with integration. Similar to Scorpio and Taurus, transformation and integration, Aquarius is the future, evolution, pushing on boundaries, pioneering, breaking rules, and then Leo is integrating into our own unique expression. Leo is I will orchestrate, I will lead as one. Leo is the hero's journey. Leo is the truth that each individual does have a story. We are each on a hero's quest. We are each on a journey. Whereas Aquarius is we will progress together as a group. The highly Aquarian soul is the Nikola Teslas, the Einsteins that are pushing on boundaries, separating from society, breaking rules, exploring the unknown in order to discover new things and bring those things into the rest of humanity. Aquarius deals with interconnection, bridging, including the bridging of where we are now with the possibilities of the future. Aquarius are boundary pushers. They're connecting with the future. They're progressing as a group. It's the hive mind. It is outer measurement and scrutiny, looking from the outside in, whereas Leo is the individual, the story. It is the one instrument within the orchestra of Aquarius. It is the single expression of our own inner child, which is functioning within the greater whole. Looking now at Virgo and Pisces. Virgo is an earth sign, deals with the body, whereas Pisces deals with spirit. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Again, this dual planet that deals with what is observable, measurable. Virgo is about breaking apart everything into little bits and pieces of information so that way things can be analyzed and dissected and improved. Virgo is about analytical refinement. Virgo focuses on the components, and Virgo itself is the principle of focus, the function of focus. Tuning in on one tiny part is Virgo. Pisces is the whole. It's tuning into the whole thing. It's going with the flow. It's merging with that which is bigger than just ourselves as an individual. Well, as Virgo is our individual role, what we're practically doing in the world. Virgo deals with our function being connected to something bigger than ourselves. You know, Virgo is I am the mailman. I am the sweeper. I am the doctor. I am the healer. This is my role. This is my function. This is my contribution back to Pisces, the bigger picture, the whole, the collective. And so Virgo deals with analytical refinement, which actually focuses upon what is not already perfect and therefore needs to be improved. Virgo notices what is not ideal, whereas Pisces is the ideal. Virgo is the world, which is not perfect. Pisces is the spiritual world, that transcendental, invisible reality which is perfect, that we are always yearning for, but just barely can't grasp, is Pisces. It is that mysterious, inconceivable nature. All is one. We are all interconnected, and yet we are individuals. We are components of the whole. Virgo notices what is not already perfect in order to improve it. This is called healing. This is why Virgo is the sign of healing, medicine, doctors. Virgo's very in the body, very hypersensitive. Virgo deals with energy systems ruled by Mercury, whereas Pisces is the sensitivity to the whole. Virgo is therefore boundaries. Virgos are very attentive to their schedule. I'm available from this time to that time. I'm not available this time. Pisces is boundarylessness. Pisces is the loss of boundaries, merging with the surrounding people, places, events, experiences. What is mine and what is theirs? I'm not sure. This is why Pisces can be very idealistic. What is real? Pisces is that mystery. What is discovering? What is reality? Virgo is about noticing what's not ideal to improve it. Virgo can therefore sometimes be fault-finding or perfectionist, but this is actually an inherent part of the improving, purifying function. Virgo is about purification. It's about removing what is unnecessary so something can function to the best of its capability, like removing the impurities from the body, focusing on our health. Virgo, Aries people are natural athletes. They're very focused on the body. They're very healthy. Pisces, on the other hand, is this movement, it's this yearning, it's this bleeding into this sense that everything is always improving. It is the spiral of evolution. It is the dance. Again, Pisces would be the melody. Virgo would be the beat. Virgo is the container. Pisces is the essence that flows through the container. When we do the Virgo function of purification, removing the distractions and the obstructions, that divine flow of Pisces easily and effortlessly moves through us. And that sense of being connected to something bigger than ourselves can possess us. And so when we have this polarity and balance, we have channelers, we have energetic healers, we have creative geniuses. Virgo is about technique. It's about mastering how I'm going to do this. It's the procedure. I'm going to dot all my I's. I'm going to cross all my T's. Virgo is detail work. It's the tiniest paintbrush and going in there and doing all of the details, whereas Pisces is that flow. It's that messiness. It's going to go this way or that way. It's the Jackson Pollock type of painter that's just throwing the paints and allowing the painting to paint itself, is Pisces. Once we master the technique, the creative juice just flows through us and the painting paints itself. Once we remove the obstructions, we become a channel for spirit. So Virgo deals with energy systems, the vessel, the container. It also deals with our work, our duties. Virgo can be very small, trivial, mundane, Virgo can be the worker, the desk job. I'm just an accountant. That's what I do. Well, Pisces deals with meaning. This is my purpose in life. These are my spiritual beliefs. These are my ideals. Virgo is about charity. It's about humility. It's about developing humbleness by, again, removing the ego of Leo, removing that over grandiosity, focusing on our role. Being small and being humble is what gives us that connection to the bigger whole, gives us that meaning, makes our work not just trivial or mundane, but having that greater purpose by being connected to something bigger than ourselves. Pisces can be so flowing and so compassionate. Pisces is about compassion, big-heartedness. Pisces can be idealistic, not seeing people realistically. Oh, they're a good person, they're a good person. Oh, I'll just go with the flow. Oh, I'm sure they have the best interests, you know? Whereas Virgo's boundaries. Virgo can be intolerant. I'm not going to put up with that. I don't have enough time for this or that. I need to focus on this now. I'll see you tomorrow. That's Virgo, focusing on our time, our measurements. Virgo is hypersensitive. The toothbrush needs to be on the left side of the sink rather than the right side of the sink. That's what works best for me. Virgo's very hyper detail oriented. I'm not going to feel good until I get this hair stuck from the inside of my mouth removed. Whereas Pisces is just messy, go with the flow. I am just flowing with life, and I'll just find myself drifting and blowing around like a leaf in the wind with no boundaries. Whereas Virgo is boundaries. It is function. It is focus. Whereas Pisces is the lack of focus. It's the coming back. It's the drifting. It's the connection with everything. When we're doing astrological work and looking at a birth chart, it is a Virgo-Pisces process. We look at the planets, their degrees, their aspects, their signs, all the different bits and pieces of what comes together, and then we look at the uniform whole. What is the interconnected story here? What are the similar themes? When we look at the chart pulled out and looking at as a whole, what is that uniform story? What is that uniform truth that is the soul that we're looking at here? So we're going to now take a look at the shadow of the signs. What happens when the signs get out of balance? Doo-ba-doo. Where'd my notes go? Shoot. Did I not print these notes? Oh, man. Must be having a Virgo Pisces crisis myself. Dang it. I really thought I had these printed out. Okay. Well, I don't. So, that really sucks. Let me see here. This was the most visual part of the whole presentation. Yeah, I could wing it, but I have everything already written out. So why would I throw all that out? Okay, I'm sorry about this, guys. All right, well, I guess I'm going to have to wing it because not only are my notes not printed, they have become deleted. All right, well, here we go. Oh, you know what? I can just use the workbook. Sorry about this delay. I actually can get my notes up here. All right. I'm just going to use my phone here to pull up these notes. And since I got horribly thrown off right here, I'm going to, I'm going to, oh my God. As a Gemini, this shit makes me go fucking bonkers. I'm going to answer questions that I got so far, since we got a huge gap here anyways. Zodiac, Polarity, workbook. Because if you spend many, many hours creating notes, you might as well use them. Okay, so I got that. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go look at the notes or any questions that I've got so far on the first part. Okay, I'm curious about the attraction of polarities. Why am I, as a Libra Sun person, so attracted to Aries Sun people? Because opposites attract. This is something we see all the time in astrology. Why would we be attracted to the opposite? For the simple reason of balance. What is relationship all about? There's a purpose to relationship. We form relationships with people in order to evolve. As we are evolving, we're coming into the potential of our soul, which is going to be the high octave of any sign, and the high octave of any sign is achieved by finding balance of that sign with the opposite sign. So we're going to take a look at that in just a minute. Some teachers say that duality is an illusion, and it doesn't exist, but I see how to brush it off so quickly in this 3D reality. So this is really important because when we brush off duality, we brush off everything. Everything in the creation, in our experience, relies on duality, which means without duality, there's no experience. So to say that duality is an illusion is somewhat to say that an experience, all experience, is an illusion, which is rather sad. So this is something that gets correlated with Pisces. Pisces is truth with a capital T. All-pervasive truth that is what? Is Pisces truth conceivable or inconceivable? As we said at the beginning, is reality conceivable or is it paradoxical in nature? It's paradoxical. The paradoxical nature is the truth. Therefore, is everything just one in a conceptual way? Or is everything one and different inconceivably and simultaneously? I am not one of the teachers that says duality is an illusion, because that paradoxically brings in the illusion of duality in itself. Rather, Pisces is the inconceivable reality, which is everything functions out of inconceivable simultaneous union and separation. Without union and separation, there is no experience, there's no life, there's no nothing. So I would say that rather than seeing separation as a negative thing and therefore having to make it an illusion in order for life to be okay or us to achieve enlightenment or something like that, I would say that separation, the mind, and duality is integral to life, integral to our experience, and integral to enlightenment. So that's a lofty question, but thanks for sharing. And that's obviously my own personal interpretation. Okay. So I think there's one more question. If there are heavy retrograde RX in certain signs, okay, so if everything's in one direction, if everything's all one sign, then it's very much about balance with the opposite sign. In fact, this is a good point. Any planet in your chart will be in a sign And therefore, you will be working with the opposite sign of that planet because polarities work together. So if you're dealing with Aries, you're dealing with Libra via the opposite, via contrast. If you're dealing with Capricorn, you're dealing with Cancer. And no matter what planets you have in what sign, the high octave of those planets will be actualized through balancing that sign with the opposite sign. So that's a great question. Thanks for your patience again, everybody, while I had my minor Gemini mental anxiety freak out. And now we're going to continue with part 2. Okay, so we're going to talk exactly about this right now. We're going to begin by looking at the shadow of every sign, which means this is what happens when these signs are not in balance. Okay, so to get the low octave of any sign, what do you have to do therefore? Not balance it with the opposite sign. Okay, so too much Aries with not enough Libra is arrogance. My way or the highway. Who cares about everybody else? Overly loud, overly dominant, competitive, angry, defensive. Inconsiderate is the overly Aries person. This is what I'm doing. This is what the whole group needs to be doing. Yeah, I'm sorry. Your mom just died. Who cares? This job needs to get done right now because I want that job to get done right now. Aries is, again, the beat, whereas Libra is the harmony. So what's too much Aries? An incapability to listen. I can't listen. I have actually known talented musicians that were very Aries signature souls that could not play music with other people because they could not keep the rhythm or they could not keep the melody with others. They could only play by themselves. Aries is overly instinctual. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this fast, 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 fast. No time to rest, no time to slow down, no time to consider anyone else, no time to listen. Aries can be sexually predatory. This is what I want. Again, carnal desires. I'm going to get this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to behave instinctually. I'm going to let my animal side take the reins. Relentless, overwhelming, loud, nonstop, powerful. Too much Aries. Well, what's too much? Too much Libra. Too much Libra. This is unrealistic perception of others, depending on others to know what to do, waiting on permission to be able to initiate their own direction. Let me tell you, I got a lot of Libra souls as astrological clients. Hey, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go this direction? Is this really who I am? Is this really who I'm supposed to be with? Is this really the job I'm supposed to be doing? There's no confidence with too much Libra to be an individual, to go to the beat of your own drum. There is a dependency on the feedback of others. Too much Libra may be social dependency. I feel uncomfortable when I'm by myself. I need to be surrounded by a group. I love to be around other people. When I'm around other people, I remember who I am. And when I'm by myself, I don't know who I am. Libra can also be over politeness. Oh, that person did something shady, but you know what? They had the best intentions. And they're a good person. And, you know, my partner may be horribly abusive and take advantage of me all the time and steal all my money. But you know what? They just had a hard childhood. You know, they're a good person. Libra is like paving over reality with too much politeness. It can be ignoring the shadow and like paving over the shadow with a concrete slab and painting a big smiley face on it and being just like, yeah, everything's fine. Oh, I'm just fine. I'm good. I'm good. Everything's wonderful. Libra in unbalanced can be like the silver-tongued devil. You know, I think of Vladimir Putin. Got a very powerful Libra signature. He's very elegant at communicating. He knows so many different languages. He's so smooth. The smooth talker can be Libra. The snake oil salesman. Or again, it can be overly polite, waiting for permission, or not really knowing one's own values. I don't know who I am when I'm not with a partner. Or it's just reflecting the partner's values or reflecting the values of the group. Oh yeah, well, I used to not love rock music. I really wasn't into satanic death metal until I met my partner, and my goodness, we are just satanic death metal junkies now, you know. I've always loved satanic death metal. I just love it, you know, because that's actually the partner's values that they've just absorbed. Or it's reflecting all of the partner's great qualities rather than owning the individual's great qualities. You know, a Libra person may be incredibly gifted, very creative, and then project all of those qualities onto their partner. Oh, they're the gifted one. They're the creative one. Libra can also become very conditioned by social expectations. This is what my father wanted me to do. You know, my father, he was such a great man, and you know, he wanted me to be a lawyer. And so I know that a lawyer is what I want to be for my dad, you know. And, you know, in order to keep the peace, I've just got to put myself last and make sure that everybody else is taken care of first. Too much Libra. What about the other sign ruled by Venus? Too much Taurus. Taurus is disbalanced when it becomes too steady. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to change. Oversimplicity to a fault. You know, I work my typical day job. I go home. I watch TV. I go to sleep. That's just what I like to do. That's just who I am. Why I do it? I don't know. What's the purpose of it? I don't know. I just do this because this is what it is. That's Taurus. Scorpio is the meaning, the symbol, the power, the unconscious dynamic. Taurus is, it is the way it is. That's just how it is. Too much Taurus is a crustiness that can develop. I mean, we've felt this. We know people. We've experienced it ourselves, where it's just stagnation and not moving. And it's like cobwebs and crustiness and just repeating the same thing day after day after day. Again, this hoarding tendency can be too much Taurus, collecting all of these things. And my house is full of all of this junk. And it just is possessiveness and greed and money hoarding. It's selfishness. Too much Taurus is too much sense gratification. I'm just going to stay home and masturbate all day long. And I have hard drives of pornography that I've collected. Is Taurus, you know. It's that connoisseur. I'm going to collect this. I'm going to observe this. This is what I value, and this has worth to me, and so I'm going to hoard it. I have a Mickey Mouse collection. I filled up my house with every single Mickey Mouse thing you could possibly own, you know, just to a point of insanity. It can also be laziness. Again, I just go home, come home, smoke a bowl, watch TV, eat ice cream, go to work, you know, fill up people's engines with gas, come home, watch TV, eat ice cream, you know, masturbate. Laziness is Taurus. I am not moving forward. I don't need to change. I'm resisting change is too much Taurus. What do you think happens when we resist too much Taurus? Well, it all blows apart in Scorpio. It's like we see a tower here. You know, the collecting, hoarding, sovereignty is also a Taurus. I don't need anybody else. It's like the king in the castle collecting everybody's resources, the fat king stealing everybody's crop and keeping it all stuck in the tower. Well, too much of that, too much laziness, not moving, not evolving leads to the tower that we see in the tarot, right? Bulldozing over everything, getting knocked over, transformation. We can't just stay static forever. Taurus can be a superficiality and only goes skin deep, you know. I'm obsessed with clothes, or I'm obsessed with beauty standards. I'm obsessed with Cosmo magazine. I'm obsessed with jewelry. It's got to look a particular way. It's got to feel a particular way. It's got to have a particular value. It must be by this particular designer. Too much Taurus is stubbornness. I don't need anybody else. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I live by myself in the shack. I'm a hermit. The hermit is Taurus. I live by myself in the woods. I grow my own grapes. I make my own wine. But too much Taurus can be stubbornness. I don't need you. I don't need to change. I have everything that I need. I am self-reliant. I don't need a partner. I know how to masturbate. I don't need your help. I've got everything taken care of. I don't need to understand why I do a particular thing. It is the way it is. It's superficial, it's skin deep, it's unchanging, and it's stubborn. And again, too much Taurus gets that feeling of crustiness. And I think we all know that feeling. We all go through periods of integration and transformation. And once the integration period has reached its point of settled down and in integration, that's when the crustiness starts to build if we don't continue to change. Well, what's too much power, too much change? It's overwhelming. It's hellish. Too much Scorpio can just feel like hell. It's death. It's claustrophobia. I never get to breathe. Me and my partner are always duking it out. We're always in a power struggle. We have no separation from each other. Again, Taurus is like I live by myself in a tower. Scorpio is me and my partner live in the same room. We work in the same room. We never have any separation from one another. We're always fighting because we can't breathe. And it's just too much intensity. It's too much proximity. Scorpio is too much sexual desire. I have to have sex. I have to be merging with this person and that person. I have to feel like I am deeply intimate with everybody at all times. Too much Scorpio can therefore be brash. Hey, this is the big secrets that's going on. Hey, this is what's going on with so-and-so, you know. Oh, so-and-so cheated on so-and-so, you know. Scorpio can be the shit talker or the small talker or the gossiper. What's the drama? Too much Scorpios, let's find the drama. Let's create the drama. Let's stir the pot. Well, you know what? This is superficial and you're bullshitting and you got to change. And don't you know that what's actually going on beneath the surface is different than what you're saying? And this is what's actually going on. And this is bullshit, you know. Scorpio is not polite. Scorpio can be very rough around the edges. When I think of Scorpio, I think of like, you know, someone who grew up in like the ghettos of Chicago, a Chicago gangster. Hey, this is just how it is. Deal with it, you know. It's a dog-eat-dog, fight-to-survive world. Get over it, you know. Toughen up, grow up, change. There's real shit going on. And don't you know that it's about money, it's about sex, it's about power. Too much Scorpio can be power issues, control issues. I have to control my partner. Otherwise, I feel insecure. Insecurity surrounding death or taboo, or obsessions with death, taboo, sexual fetishes, phobias. Again, Scorpio is that unconscious attraction, repulsion. So it's I'm attracted to this, I'm repulsed by this. It's obsessiveness. It's power. It's this passion. And we can become overly passionate. And that's when we start to burn other people out. That's when we start to become unapproachable. Scorpio can be overly secret, ulterior motives, manipulation. I'm taking advantage of you. You think I'm somebody and what's going on beneath the surface is completely different. It's a power play. Scorpio, again, it has to do with secrets, ulterior motives, control. It can be the energy vampire. I'm merging with this person, having sex with this person. I'm going to, you know, Scorpio can be, I'm going to marry the person 10 times my age so that way they die off and I get their money. You know, power manipulation. And again, merging of resources is Scorpio. Let's look at Gemini. I gave a great example of too much Gemini. That's the rat maze. Oh my gosh, I don't have my notes. What am I going to do if I don't have my notes? I only have A, B, or C. What am I going to do? So Gemini can get lost in that A, B, C, if this, then that. This is the challenge right in front of me, and I can't see a way around it. Too much Gemini is mental gymnastics, all talk with no meaning. People accuse me of this all the time in my videos. You know, it's uncertain of anything. Making a decision can be challenging for a Gemini. Why? Because Gemini is about diversity. Gemini is about discovering the potential options that are available. This is why too much Gemini can lead to worry and anxiety. All of these potential outcomes exist in the future. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if this happens, and what? It's always asking these questions, and I have to make a decision. It's been proven that the more choices we have, the more unhappy we tend to be. Like when we go to the store and there's a million different flavors of ice cream to pick, it makes it a lot harder to be satisfied with the ice cream that we're going to pick. Because, well, what if I picked that ice cream instead? It would have been so much better. What if I went with the chocolate Oreo instead of just the chocolate crumble cake? You know, that probably would have been better. I wish I made that choice instead of the one I did. So it's this uncertainty, this mental anxiety can also be very tricky. Gemini is word jugglery. I'm going to say so many things, very little substance. The car salesman, very, very classic Gemini. Look at our current American president, Gemini guy. Yeah. Just look at the way he talks. It's amazing how stereotypical Gemini he is. Gemini, synthetic, getting lost into the computer world, getting lost in gadgets, playing video games all day, to the point of just being disconnected from nature or reality. This is called distortion. When we lose ourselves in conceptual programs, this can be belief systems, for example. Oh, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is what I should be doing, this is the right God, this is the wrong God, blah, 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 blah. You can get lost in this type of mental distortion, this synthetic invention. Gemini is too much over-conceptualization, which again can lead to uncertainty, loss, detachment. You know, Gemini can just be going into outer space, you know, drifting around, bouncing between so many things and coming to no conclusions. Well, what's going to be the shadow of Sagittarius, therefore? The one size fits all. This is the truth. Jesus is your Savior. All is one. You know, this is a Sagittarius thing. Separation is an illusion, you know. Or you know, all these religions were old and outdated. Meditation is the way. Meditation is the way to connect with nature. There is no other way. Or it's too much, again, like the outdoorsman, the nature man. Oh, you don't need to take medicine. Nature's there. Oh, you've got some serious mental condition, and without your medicine, you're an insane person. Oh, well, have you eaten healthy? You know, it's like this can become very disbalanced. Yes, we do need inventions. Yes, we do use technology. Yes, we do use words. Yes, we do have differences. Gemini is the reality that there is a subjective truth. Gemini is subjective truth. You know, this is my experience of reality. Is going to be different per each and every individual. There is no one size fits all in terms of ultimate truth or meaning, because every soul will create a connection to the whole, the God, the universe that will be unique per each and every individual. This is why there cannot be an overly simplistic, one size fits all reality. You know, and meditation is the only way, or this truth is wrong, this truth is right. This is the true God. This is the true deity. Sagittarius can be crusadum. You know, convert everybody. Convert, condemn, crusade. Everybody has to understand this is reality. Or again, it's like going off into nature and saying, hey, this is the one way to do it. Everything is just awareness. Everything is just spaciousness. And this is the ultimate truth. Instead of it being, you know, it's projecting a universal truth instead of understanding that there is not one size fits all and that there can be a diversity of subjective truth. So Sagittarius can be overly blunt. Hey, overly honest. You know, hey, this is how I actually feel. What do you think about that? Hey, this is what the truth actually is. What do you think about that? You know, in a way that can just be lecturing almost, you know, like, oh, you know, it can be guru syndrome, can be Sagittarius, you know. This is Jupiter, this very optimistic, lofty, well, I've connected with nature and now I'm enlightened. And so now I can go off and teach everybody. And I put myself way high up on the big guru seat and look down at everybody. That way I can give everybody the perfect example of what everybody else should be. Jupiter can also be a kind of, Sagittarius can be carelessness. It's like, Jupiter and Sag can be good luck. When we're connected with nature and we have that divine flow, it's, hey, things are really working out for me. And so, hey, I just go with it. I just travel and I show up from place to place and people just take care of me and give me what I need. And, I'm taken care of. It's this entitlement of I know the truth. I know what's best. Sagittarius is exaggeration, therefore. This Jupiterian principle inflates, exaggerates. This is what you need. This is everything. Come on, move away to the commune with me. Everything's taken care of. It's paradise, Can be that Jupiter over-optimistic or carelessness. This is true for everybody. If everybody took LSD, the whole world would be enlightened, And so it's this balance between connecting with that universal truth, and there are natural laws, and there are universal truths, and there is a subjective personal connection with truth as well. Let's look at Cancer. Now, again, too much Cancer is just like the baby. Being emotionally dependent on other people. I need you to be here for me. I don't feel safe without you. I need my mommy. I need my daddy. I need to be taken care of. Emotional dependency on others. This can be a clinginess. It can be felt as an energetic clinginess. It's this, I'm going to grab onto you. And you make sure I'm safe. You make sure I'm taken care of. Cancer can also be smothering. Like the mother is too attached to their children and calling the children up every single day. Hey, how are you doing? Is everything taken care of? Are you all right? Are you sure? Too much Cancer is like overly sensitive. Overly sensitive to the point of not being dependable. Like, hey, where's so-and-so? They were supposed to show up, but I guess they're not here because they were having another bad day. I see somebody is, I'm going to turn off. Turn off somebody's microphone here. Too much Cancer is when we become like emotionally stagnant. Again, kind of similar to Taurus, where it can be like overly sensitive to the point of, well, I'm just feeling crazy and not good. And rather than work through it or move through it, I'm just going to sit at home and eat ice cream and watch TV all day long. Similar to Taurus, which can be the hermit, Cancer is the crab that hides away in her shell. It's withdrawing, it's hiding, it's hermiting. Again, Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is always shifting. It's our emotional body, highly erratic, unstable, undependable. Also easily manipulated by feelings. Again, I can't do this today. I'm not feeling like it. Or it may be manipulated by other people's feelings. A highly Cancer soul is a natural empath. Feeling other people's feelings as if they were our own is the Cancer empathetic sensitivity, which means, hey, I'm feeling everybody else and everybody else doesn't feel good, and so I'm going to take care of everybody else. Cancer is the natural caretaker, highly maternal, very nourishing, very nurturing. Let me cook you a meal. Let me tuck you in at night. And too much of that is when we become a doormat to other people's emotional needs. Oh, well, my family's not taken care of, and so I need to put them first. I need to put them first. Or, what do you want for Christmas? That's what I'm doing the next 7 months, And so it can be clingy, it can be smothering, it can be inactive and stagnant. When we are feeling ruled by our emotions, and it is possible to be overly sensitive to a point that is disempowering, and that's where we have to balance out with Capricorn by doing something physical, by focusing on something, by accomplishing something which can change our emotions, which can get a sense of momentum. And yet too much Capricorn is going to be what? Too much structure, unwavering, unchanging, the workaholic. I go to work 9 to 5 every day, and then I come home, and then I cook my meal, and then I do the dishes, and then I clean the kitchen, and then I mow the lawn, and then I repeat. It's stern, it's cold, it's unwavering. Too much Capricorn is authoritative. It is forceful. I'm in charge. I'm the boss. This is how we do it. This is what we're going to do. You know, this is the objective at hand. Oh, you're having a bad day? Sorry, I don't give a crap. You know, Capricorn is the old traditional parent. You know, sorry, you got to grow up, Johnny. Yeah, you hurt your knee, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know, it is a dog-eat-dog, fight-to-survive world. Too much Capricorn can be very uncaring, very cold, unable to be vulnerable. Unable to be vulnerable is too much Capricorn. I'm afraid to share myself. Too much Capricorn is the authoritative parent whose children know nothing about their life. I have no idea who mom or dad was when they were a child. All they ever talk about is work and school. All they ever talk about is what we're doing out there in the world, and we never talk about what's going on the inside. This is a very common disbalance in this day and age. Too much Capricorn is oppressive. Too much Capricorn can be patriarchal. Hey, these are the standards of our society. This is the standards of our culture. Oh, little Johnny, you're having a hard time in school because school isn't really made for you. Again, Cancer is who we are, as a unique, very personal, very subjective. Oh, how are you feeling today? Who are you as an individual? Capricorn is, oh, little Johnny, you're having a hard time in school? Sorry. Guess you're going to have to put in a lot of hard work and a lot of extra hours, because school's not going to change for you. The world's not going to change for you. You're being raised in a middle-class American family. These are the duties and the expectations that are put on you. That's life. Deal with it. That's Capricorn. Demanding, uncompromising. Capricorn can also be inwardly oppressive in that way. I exist to serve my job. I exist to serve society. My emotions don't matter. A Capricorn person can oppress their own inner child. Or Capricorn can be the overachiever. I don't feel good about myself unless I am number one. I am top of the pyramid. Once I am the boss of the boss, then I will be a success. Up until then, well, I'm not really there, you know. It can be stuck in duties, stuck in roles, focused on the practical only, you know. I work all day, every day for decades of my life in order to gather this money, in order to have physical security that means nothing. I don't enjoy it, but if there's another Great Depression, hopefully some of it will be left over for me. There's too much Capricorn. You know, stern, authoritative, unwavering, too much structure, unforgiving, can be patriarchal or oppressive when we start to oppress our own inner child or the inner child of others. And again, this is probably the most common disbalance in our current day and age, with the south nodes of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto for all souls at this time being in Capricorn. Let's look at Leo and Aquarius. Leo, coming on too strong. Me, 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 me. Hey, how awesome is this? Look at this greatest thing I did. Hey, look at my creativity. Hey, I can sing. Listen to me sing. Listen to me sing. Listen to me sing. You know, the highly Leonian child is the child that says, hey, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Center of attention. Coming on too strong. Bombarding others. Dictatorship. Leo people can be big people, taking up the whole space, yeah? It's like filling up the whole room. Highly Leonian souls will not be aware that they're like this or they're doing this. They'll show up, all eyes are on them, they're freaking awesome, they're doing all of these things, and they may not feel like they're getting attention at all. They may feel unrecognized. Hey, what about me? As everybody pays attention to them. This is too much, Leo. Where does this come from? A lack of inner security. We all know that too much Leo gets correlated with the egocentric narcissist, right? This is commonly associated with Leo. Oh, the attention whore, center of attention, drama queen, needs to be center stage. Narcissist, it's always about them. What is a narcissist? Is a narcissist someone who is actually full of themselves? No. A narcissist is actually someone who is disbalanced in Leo and needs to embody the high octave of Leo by developing some inner self-security. A narcissist has no self-security. In fact, a pathological narcissist, which is quite common in this day and age, more common than I think people realize, is a soul who experienced severe trauma, Aquarius, early on in their life, that was so severe it crushed Leo, their inner child, and their sense of self-confidence. So much so that they formed a narcissistic personality. A great example of this, in a not negative way, but kind of, is Batman. Batman loses his parents early in life via trauma, and he has to become Leo, the hero. All bad guys out there are the bad guys that hurt my parents. All people being hurt by bad guys are my own inner child. Therefore, I have to be the hero. I have to be the one to do it. Something that doesn't often get mentioned in disbalanced Leo is expectation. We all hear that Leo is the entitlement. Too much Leo is self-entitlement. Oh, I deserve this. I deserve to have the red carpet rolled out for me. But Leo can also be the high, lofty expectation. I've got to be the hero. I've got to be perfect. Highly Leonian souls may be given many opportunities, for example. They may be a classical musician, trained early in their life, a prodigy type of person, highly artistic, given all of these opportunities, which means what? They've also got to prove to everybody how capable they are. They've got to meet all those demands. They've got to be the one to do it. Too much hero syndrome, taking on other people's stuff, being the one to do it, can be an example of disbalanced Leo. Too much Leo is, again, the dictator, the manipulator. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm the leader. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Classic narcissism. Showmanship. Can also be very childlike, very clingy. Again, look at me. Oftentimes this comes out of an inner insecurity. Just like Cancer, Leo can almost be overly vulnerable. Leo can almost be overly vulnerable. Sometimes that insecurity is like, man, I'm really going through a hard time. Can you please help me out? Look at me, look at me. I need help, I need help. That clinginess, that attention needing can be too much Leo in a disbalanced way. It can also be sexual bombardment. Again, coming on too strong. Well, highly Leo souls can be sexually leaky. Hey, I'm going to wear this, barely considered clothing, and I'm going to strike this pose and do this, and my profile picture is going to be me half naked because I'm showing my natures. Leo is the sexual creative function. It is the sexual creative force that is responsible for creating everything, including childbirth, is Leo. So Leo is that sexual bombardment, coming on too strong or being sexually leaky to the point where it's weird, and the Leo person may not be aware of it. The Leo person may be the biggest person, the loudest person in a room, and may not be aware of it. You need to balance out with Aquarius, which is awareness of the group. But what is too much Aquarius is too much awareness of the group. Interestingly, dependent on the evolutionary level of the soul, Aquarius can play out in different forms in a disbalanced way. For example, Aquarius can be the hive mind. I am a worker bee. I am here to be a cookie cutter of every other bee. And my success is my capability to function almost robotically in line with the group. Can be too much Aquarius. Aquarius, in a negative way, can be really being affected by the outer scrutiny of external authorities or the group. Peer pressure, group pressure can be Aquarius. But on another evolutionary level, and this is the difference between a consensus Aquarius soul, someone who's just falling in line with the culture and the societal demands, or an individuated Aquarius soul, someone who's discovering who they are that's different from the group and the rest of the society, can be highly rebellious. Oh, I'm not a part of the hive at all. Oh, I'm not a part of a group at all. I'm completely unique. I don't need you. I don't need our nation. I don't need our country. I don't need anything. It's the rebel. It's the iconoclast. I'm just going to rebel against something before I even know what it is because I know what I'm not before I know what I am. Is too much Aquarius. And it can be isolation. Again, Aquarius, I'm on the outside of the circle rather than the inside of the circle. I feel separate. I feel alienated. I feel alone. Too much Aquarius can be heartless, where Leo is the heart, very personable, very warm, very personally expressive. Aquarius can be void, personablelessness, empty, robotic, hiding themselves from other people. This can be a result of trauma, again, as well. Aquarius can do with shocking, unexpected changes that can lead to a traumatic event or be experienced through a trauma. This can again lead to disassociation, being out of the body, being spacey, being disconnected from reality, ungrounded. Again, Aquarius can get lost in technology, lost in alternative dimensions that are synthetic and maybe unrealistic. Aquarius can also have that on the outside looking in. It can be kind of from the top looking down. Again, when we think of Aquarius souls, they're highly pioneering, they're ahead of their own time. Extraterrestrials, seeing things differently, feeling isolated. And this can also be associated with a type of pretentiousness. Wow, look at all these stupid people. They're like freaking cave people. I don't associate with any human beings in this day and age. They're all morons. Nobody is actually up with the times. And so it can be just like, pretentious, judging others' apparent primitiveness. And it can also be hiding in a crowd on the flip side. I'm just one of the herd, one of the crowd. I don't stick out. Too much Aquarius can be the inability to commit, like a freedom junkie. Well, I would have a relationship if it meant there being anything that is intruding my freedom to go anywhere, at any place, at any time. Too much Aquarius is highly erratic, highly unstable. I'm just going to change at the slightest tinge of there being any type of restriction. And I've got to be free. I've got to be on my own. And so I can't function in a group, or I can't function in a relationship, or I can't be around other people. We all need relationships. We all need intimacy. It's a very powerful way to heal from trauma. And when we go off by ourselves and we don't go into our bodies, or we don't creatively express ourselves or connect with others, it's a way of being fragmented. Too much Aquarius is fragmentation, disassociation, being separate, and not functioning together with others in a way that is sharing our own inner self. Leo is the inner child and the heart. Too much Aquarius is too much objective, detached, objective reasoning, where we can lose that heart, we can lose that creativity. Leo is spontaneous. The sun just spontaneously releases and radiates its sexual creative energy, impregnating the solar system with life. Aquarius can be more reserved, studying the different bits and pieces and how they're all coming together. And then who am I? What is my creative expression? It's not spontaneous. It may be reserved or cold or detached. Okay. Virgo. Virgo. The naturally small, shy, petite, veiled can be Virgo. Very, very soft-spoken. Too much Virgo can be just like, wow, I am not perceptible by everybody else. It's like I'm in a room full of people, but I'm invisible. Or I'm just like kept in the closet. Again, Virgo can deal with our mundane roles in the world. So it's like, I'm just the nurse and I feel taken for granted. Or I'm just the maid and I'm picking up everybody else's messes. I'm just the cleaner, the sweeper. I just take care of everybody else's business and everybody ignores me. I don't feel included. Virgo can also deal with inadequacy. As we talked about, Virgo deals with noticing imperfections. So to improve things through rectification, adjustment, trial, and error. This can lead to inadequacy or shame. I'm ashamed to be who I am. I'm not perfect yet. I haven't achieved my ideals. I'm not where I want to be. I feel ashamed. I'm impure, can be Virgo. I feel tainted. I feel like I've lost my innocence. It can be very fault-finding to others, anal retentive. Hey, you forgot to wash the dishes. What is wrong with you? Is Virgo. Fault-finding in the self. I didn't get an A++. What's wrong with me? Virgo can be very hypersensitive. It is a sign ruled by Mercury, which is the mind, very analytical, and it's an earth sign. So Virgo feels this analytical nature in the body. Can be the extreme health nut. Everything's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be taken care of. Can feel like stuck in meaningless or mundane roles. Too much Virgo can be workaholism, just doing mundane basic things, and then there can be a sense of emptiness or pointlessness or feeling completely lost. Too much Virgo is OCD. Everything has to be completely organized and orderly, otherwise I can't move on to the next step. Virgo's just one little baby step after the next. Too much Virgo can be intolerant of others. I do not let anybody in. Too much Virgo is too many boundaries. Well, I would let this person in, but they made a mistake once, so can't trust him. Too much Virgo is inability to trust, no faith. I got hurt one time, and now I don't trust any human beings anymore. Again, shy, drifting to the back, veiled. And so Virgo is ultimately about finding that balance between our purpose to bridge it with our role. Now, what if we're lost in purpose? What if we're lost in the idealistic spiritual realms of Pisces? This is where we get naivety. This is where we get the rose-tinted glasses. This is where we get projecting unrealistic perceptions onto others. The highly Pisces soul may appear otherworldly, insane, scattered, drifting. There is boundarylessness with Pisces. The experience of too much Pisces is a leaf blown around in the wind of the world. No control, no grip. Everybody else's needs, everybody else's impressions just throws us around. It is this inability to find ground, an inability to integrate into our body, into a schedule, into a routine. A Pisces room may be messy. A Pisces schedule is no schedule. I just drift around. I just throw everything everywhere. And that can lead to chaos. It can lead to confusion. It can lead to the downward spiral of losing ourselves in the messiness. Pisces is not just about spirituality and all is one and all is connected. Highly Pisces soul can also be atheists. The sense of void, emptiness. There is nothing. There's only blackness can be Pisces. Depression, meaninglessness, absorbing whatever is around is low octave Pisces, just like a sponge, just soaking up our parents and then our schools and then the original set of conditions we receive. The Pisces soul says, this is my reality. It's just like being a sponge, easily manipulated by other people, seeing the best in others, similar to Libra in this way, overly polite. Yeah, this person has a shadow, but they're a good soul. I sacrifice myself to try and help others. Too much Pisces is over-sacrifice. Getting thrown under the bus time and time again. I'm compassionate, I care about others, and then I wind up getting manipulated, taken advantage of, thrown under the bus, bled out, drained, exhausted, is a result of lack of boundaries. Lost in delusion, lost in fantasy. Once I have my partner, then I will be complete, is a very common Pisces delusion. Do we ever find completeness in anything other than ourselves ultimately? No. And when we attach ourselves to an ideal of what somebody will be, will that person ever become that somebody that we've attached ourselves to? No. That is imagination. Pisces is the imagination. It's fantasy. It's dreams. And when we lose ourselves in dreams, we lose an accurate perception of reality. And so I'm going to pause here because I see a bunch of questions coming in. And so I just want to reflect on these questions here before we move on. Basically what you're saying, if we have any issues with a particular planet, the resolution comes from balancing the opposite sign. Well, no, there's more issues that can happen just through a result of balance. There is, for example, planetary aspects. If you've got Mars square to Pluto, that's going to be a creative tension that resolves resolution. So I wouldn't say the answer to everything is balancing polarities, but I would say that balancing polarities is the foundation to resolving all problems. So it's not just looking at the chart and you're going to do an astrology reading by looking at the planets and their opposite signs, right? There's way more to astrology than that. But the balancing of polarities is how we actualize the high octave of any given sign, which is what we will take a look at next. Okay, someone gave an example. They have a planet in the 8th house, Libra. Are you balancing it out in the 2nd house, Aries, therefore? Yes. And that's a great point. They also pointed out the house. Each of the 12 houses is correlated to the 12 zodiac signs. So whatever planets you have in whatever houses, you're also looking to the opposite house for balance. And we're balancing out Taurus selfishness by also keeping in contact with others. The balance is inherent with each and every sign and the opposite sign. Someone asked, can we have strength from both sides? It's always both. So every sign is going to have a potential for shadow as well as a potential for great things. And this is why you can never look at a birth chart and determine how someone's life will be. You can only look at a birth chart and determine the potential. And how that soul chooses to actualize their potential is dependent on the soul alone. Therefore, everything about a person's life can only be determined by looking at their chart and meeting the person. Because you may look at someone, for example, who was born at the same place at the same time and live completely different lives dependent on the soul. So the shadow and the potential is always inherent within the chart. With every planet and every aspect, there is a high potential and there is a shadow negative, always. Could Aquarius be connection with aliens? Yes, Aquarius definitely deals with extraterrestrials and the future. Aquarius and its ruler, the Uranus, is the future. The future is unknown, makes no conceptual sense. We don't understand it, we don't fathom it. That's Aquarius, that's the future. That's our relationship to extraterrestrials, at least at this particular time. Okay, and I appreciate if you could please use the chat to post questions. So that way I don't have to scroll through all these comments. I think those are all the questions that I have for right now. So let's go forward and let's look at the high octave now of each of these signs. This is when each sign is brought into balance. So, what is the balance of Aries and Libra? This is a very creative polarity. Aries is who we are as an individual. Libra is relationships and sharing. Mars deals with our sexual desire and capability to initiate. Libra is our capability to connect with other people's value systems. So you see that when we actualize the high octave of any one of these polarities, or if we see a soul with a lot of this polarity embodied, we see very creative souls that are very embodied. Both Venus and Mars deal with the body and our personal experience. What happens when we balance Libra and Aries is we have the potential for the leader that is honoring balance and is therefore able to be a protector and defender of justice and equality. Too much Libra is listening to everybody else and wants equality and justice, but is unable to lead. Too much Aries is leading without listening to everybody else. When we have these two things in balance, we have the noble warrior, the political leader. This is the high octave of Aries, is this spiritual warrior, right? Who is balanced with Libra. Aries is instinctual. I'm going to stand up, I'm going to protect, I'm going to defend. So when this is balanced, it's like, oh, there's a big scary monster that knocked on the door. I'm going to be the warrior to go to see who's at the door and protect everybody else. It is protecting the group. It's defending others. It's defending harmony and balance. It's defending the women and the children as the noble knight in shining armor, right? This is the opportunity with Libra and Aries when they come into balance. Aries is, I'm going to go out there in the world and I'm going to address the problems that we see in our current political system, for example. And I'm going to push, I'm going to initiate, I'm going to break boundaries, I'm going to bring in new potentials, I'm going to be a way paver, I'm going to be groundbreaking, but all out of respect for that natural balance and harmony that is found inherent in nature. That justice and equality that is a part of the divine law. I like to think the archetype that embodies Libra and Aries very well is goddess Pallas Athena, who's a warrior goddess. She's got her helmet, her spear, her shield, and yet she is a goddess of compassion. She is fighting to defend the women and the children, the downtrodden, the outspoken. She's a lady justice figure. That Statue of Liberty is the balance of Aries and Libra. What about Taurus and Scorpio? This is very powerful combination, very mysterious. We're dealing with sacred objects. For example, the Venus of Willendorf is a great archetype for this Scorpio-Taurus polarity that actually was born in the age of Scorpio, around there, I believe. So, you know, Taurus is objects. Scorpio is power. Power objects, power symbols is this Taurus Scorpio polarity. What's on the Taurus Scorpio polarity can be very esoteric, secret, magic. During the age of Taurus was the Egyptian age. And the Egyptians had a very interesting philosophy. First of all, the entire creation story is the whole creation's born in an act of masturbation, Taurus. And what were the Egyptians all about? Taking their relics with them into the afterlife, Taurus. They were very, very focused on death, the sarcophagus, pyramids, and the passageway of death and the mysteries of what's beneath the surface, Scorpio. So this balance between Scorpio and Taurus is being integrated in our power, being able to be calm in transformative situations. In situations of intensity, we remember to breathe. We remember our meditation, and yet we're not just sitting down and not being active in the world. The balance between Taurus and Scorpio is we can be catalysts of change in the world without getting swept off our feet, because we can hold our fort, we can hold our ground, and we aren't dependent so much on the world, but are able to have that closed circuit enough to be able to be active within the world. And I personally feel there's a very mystical, almost ancient quality to this polarity. And we see souls with a lot of this polarity, they have that dark and mysterious and beautiful and inviting kind of ancient type of feel to them. And so this is really about integrating our power to be a fully embodied human being. The fixed signs deal with the signs of the human being. So Taurus is being in a body, having a fort, and Scorpio is we're continuing to evolve and transform through relationships in order to continue evolution going on without it being the end of the world, without it feeling like hell all the time. It's that balance between momentum, moving forward and changing, and paradise and relaxation and feeling calm and steady enough to commit and stay on track in our bodies. Let's look at Gemini Sagittarius. Again, this is the brain. These are the great teachers. We see Gemini and Sagittarius souls and they're teaching and they're they're working with technology, they're very brilliant, they're very fast learners. What this balance between Gemini and Sagittarius is about is honesty. Dishonesty can be a shadow of either of these signs. It's about being true. This is what I know, and this is what I don't know. Too much Sagittarius is the one size fits all. That in a healthy marriage with Gemini is this is the limit of my awareness. I have discovered these natural truths and these natural laws. I am constantly testing them out and experimenting Gemini with them to make sure that they are staying constantly Sagittarius true. And yet, there's more. There is an unknown. There is something that's been undiscovered. The balance between Gemini and Sagittarius is the balance between the left and right brain. It's using our minds and being practical and saying, you know what, I do use technology and I do need this medicine and there is a procedure here, but I'm also tuning into my intuition. And when I get an intuitive hit, even if it doesn't make conceptual sense, if that intuition is strong enough, I'm going to listen to that because that intuition is connected to something that might be bigger than my conscious mind and is informing me of what's beyond my conceptual scope of understanding. And then that intuition may be discovered later on, oh, this makes sense in my left brain rationality now because I did go off and discover the missing pieces or the missing links. And I was able to bridge the gap. And I discovered the language of this truth. Sagittarius may be the intuitive truth. I just know this. And highly Sagittarius souls go through a frustration, can experience the frustration of knowing something and not being able to communicate or express it. And so this balance is knowing our truth, knowing our reality, and being able to teach it by putting it into words and language that is accessible to everybody. The diversity of different people coming from diversity of different backgrounds and upbringings in different countries and continents and languages, being able to reach all of these people and be able to conceptualize and speak upon truth or to deliver a teaching relies on this balance between Gemini and Sagittarius. Gemini and Sagittarius is also the balance between the words and the space between the words. And being a very Gemini soul, I can say myself, I'm working on this balance. Thank you for your patience. Gemini, Sagittarius can be highly political. Get ready for this as we enter into 2019 and Jupiter enters his own sign of Sagittarius. Very political years we're about to enter. And there's going to be a lot of debate. Yes, Gemini, Sagittarius, debate, 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 debate. Gemini and Sagittarius at a high octave and integrated is able to have a debate in a respectful way. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that either one of us is wrong. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that we can't be friends. Just because we use different words or different semantics or different languages doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking about different truths. The truth is multifaceted. There's many different ways to look at the same thing. That's the balance of Gemini and Sag. Cancer, Capricorn polarity. This is like the anchors. Cancer and Capricorn are the guides, the parents, right? Mom and dad. When Capricorn and Cancer is integrated, it's like, I'm going to invite people into my home. I'm going to cook a meal for them. They're going to feel safe. And I'm going to teach them how they can survive practically in the world. Capricorn is organization. I'm going to try my best to organize this workshop, but I'm also going to go with the flow depending on how people are feeling. It's tough to get in balance. Can we think that our bosses and our workspaces usually have these things in balance? No. And is that a great loss? Yes, because we would produce more and do more and be capable of more if we did have this more in balance. But we live in a mass production, mass consumer reality, which is do more, slam more coffee, produce more, irrelevant of what you're feeling. Well, really, it's that balance which allows us to do more, to give back to society. This balance between Cancer and Capricorn is our ability to honor Cancer, our own inner personal needs and values, respecting our past. It's like our heritage. This polarity deals a lot with heritage, tradition, again, our upbringing to our parents, and being able to honor that in some way without conforming to it in a way that's oppressive. That's this balance here. It's about roots. It's about being grounded in, hey, this is who I am, Cancer. This is my personality. This is what makes me inwardly feel good. And in Capricorn, this is how I will do it. This is how I will lay it out. This is the structure. So the balance between Capricorn and Cancer is our capability to do work and to be involved in society in a way that is actually emotionally fulfilling. And this is integral to living a happy life. Again, this is a difficult thing to achieve in this day and age because we deal with a lot of cultural pressure that says, well, put your emotional well-being last. And so getting this in balance means that we are satisfied inwardly. We're able to take care of ourselves is really what this is about, getting in balance. I'm able to take care of myself. I don't depend on other people in order to feel emotionally satisfied because I'm doing a great thing on my own. I'm able to go out in the world and be an organizer. And I'm able to do it in a way that feels safe to me, that makes me feel like I have intimate connections with others. This feels like my family, Cancer. And we're doing good things. It's productive. We are providing the resources that we need. It feels good because we're getting stuff done too, Capricorn. We all know that we don't sleep well when we go to bed and we haven't accomplished anything. And we all know that this is true at the end of a lifetime as well. If we just waste our life away frivolously, we don't feel good about what we've accomplished. And so it's this balance between accomplishment and doing and producing and nourishing and nurturing our own inner child, our own emotional needs, including our needs for emotional connection, intimacy, and being connected to a real sense of tribe and family, which is Cancer. And again, these can be the anchors. Cancer is about holding emotional space. This is something that doesn't get talked about by and large. An emotionally sensitive soul, when interacting with other souls, will hold space for them, which means that they're feeling their other people's feelings as a way to help others process those feelings. When we are overly sensitive to others, we get swept away by their feelings. But holding space is being an anchor. It's being a guide. It's being a teacher. It is helpful. It's inspiring to others. That's Cancer. Cancer's not weak. Cancer's powerful. The role of the mother is not weak. The role of the mother is being strong. And so Capricorn is being strong in that protective, assertive, functioning in the world type of way and holding it down in terms of providing resources, providing money. Very, very Capricorn people feel safe with money. They feel safe in tradition. Giving their child a traditional relic would feel very emotionally secure to them, for example. That's a fusion of these two signs, here is my great-grandfather's coin collection, and it has both that sentimental value as well as that practical placement. If there's another Great Depression, go ahead and cash in on great-grandpa's coin collection. Okay, Leo Aquarius. So here we get our creators, our geniuses, our prodigies, our way pavers, okay? Our Teslas, our creative geniuses, our, Mozarts, so on and so forth. By balancing out the sun, our individual creative purpose with Aquarius, the boundary-pushing, pioneering function, this is the balance between Leo being an individual instrument that is expressing ourselves, being a part of the greater orchestra, Aquarius, being a part of a tribe, Aquarius, being a part of a community. And so the balance here is in giving our own creative expression back in some type of progressive or pioneering type of way. This again, we're talking about fixed signs. This deals with the human being. The balance of these two signs is where we can be a leader of groups. I am a part of a humanitarian endeavor. I initiated it, Leo. I decided that this is my expression. This is my creative purpose, to be a human being on this planet. And Aquarius, I'm working with other stars. I'm working with other souls. We're working together as a tribe, as a group. We're pushing together as a whole. That's this balance here. We're doing it together. Each and every one of us is special. We acknowledge our differences. Leo, we honor what makes us special. Leo, we are a child of God. Each of us is unique and divine in our own unique way. And yet we are a part of a greater humanity. We're a part of a greater species. And the species of humanity has been evolving throughout many thousands of years. And this is also a part of our makeup and also can be a part of our contribution. We can contribute back to that collective evolution. We can contribute back to this sharing. And so again, the leader, the genius, the pioneer, the prodigy, being able to recognize ourselves as special and not lose ourselves to the group simultaneously is the embodiment of Leo and Aquarius. Virgo and Pisces. What is the balance here? Here we're dealing with the channels, your priests and priestesses, your creative geniuses. Virgo, again, is the purifying function that removes all of the distortions, the things that get in the way, so that way that divine flow of Pisces can move through us. Something I forgot to mention earlier is Pisces is effortless. I just flow. It's like the lazy man's river that's carrying me forward. I surrender, a big Pisces word, surrender, faith. It's a trust fall. I just throw myself into life. Well, Virgo is the effort, it's the work, it's the technique, it's the focus, it's the function, it's the procedure. So Virgo is learning the technique. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to become a massage therapist. I'm going to learn the Reiki techniques. I'm going to learn the different procedures. I'm going to go to doctor school. I'm going to learn about all the different medicines, all the different body parts. And then once that's mastered, do we have to retain all that, or does it become easy and effortless once we master something? When a musician is composing music, do they think about the individual notes? Oh, quarter note here, followed by an F sharp, followed by an E flat? No. The musician knows the technique and knows the different, procedures, but the musician just tunes into that divine flow and the music flows through them and then it gets scribed out. So the balance here is the channel. The divine flow just moves through. Virgo is the hands, the healer. I put my hands over someone and my hands just start drifting around and start moving to the right place. The massage therapist knows where to go. The energy healer knows where to go. It just happens. It just flows. Virgo is mastering a particular technique. Virgo is apprenticeship. Virgo can be apprenticeship in the traditional way. If I'm going to go and learn a particular craft and develop this technique, refine it, fine-tune it, master it. And Virgo can also be apprenticeship in the type of spiritual disciple relationship. I'm purifying myself. I am removing the toxins, and here is a spiritual authority who is giving me the teachings, the lessons. And this is what makes me capable of being a spiritual teacher down the line myself. And so this is also creative focus. When an artist has to paint a painting, do they think, oh, blue here, purple here, this type of brush stroke? They just flow. But they go to art school, they refine the technique, they study different artists, and then they forget those things. Those techniques and those qualities remain to them without them being imprisoned by it. And every artist knows when they're in front of a blank canvas, it's the hardest part. And the more pressure on their shoulders to create the world's greatest painting, it becomes impossible. They have to turn into that divine flow where the painting paints itself. But that balance between technique, focus, procedure, schedule, the body, the diet that we need to be healthy is what allows for that divine flow to practically animate us, possess us, take us over, so we become a vehicle for that. Virgo is the container, Pisces is the essence. Virgo is the body, Pisces is the spirit. This polarity deals a lot with the physical health nature, boundarylessness. Too much Pisces, we let other people's germs in. And then Virgo, we have to refine, we have to purify those germs out. We have to focus on our body. We have to get down to a good diet, a good routine. Then we can be healthy. Then we can be creative. The naturally creatives will have Virgo Pisces polarities. They will be able to master a particular procedure that's very detail-oriented. There's a tiny little flower in the corner of the screen. That tiny little flower is Virgo. That meticulous, lace stitching. is Virgo. And the beauty of the portrayal, the essence of the flower, beauty with a capital B, L with a capital love, truth with a capital T, is Pisces. Okay, so I'm going to pause again and check for questions. Then we're going to quickly look at some planetary pairs. And then I will go to the live Q&A. Okay, for those who want the higher octave, I might be able to get that in a PDF. I think that's the only question I'm seeing here. Okay. Yeah, I should be able to have that. You know, I can email that to you. All right, so okay, we're going to look at some key planetary pairs. Now, there are some important key planetary pairs that are not necessarily opposite to one another. But we're going to really quickly look at these key planetary pairs in opposites because these planets do have important relationships. The Venus-Mars relationship is the art of creation. This deals a lot with relationship. Mars is our desires. It comes from who we are as an individual. Venus is our desire to share with others, to collaborate. So this is the relationship between ourself and others, is the relationship between Mars and Venus in the chart. The relationship between Venus and Pluto, again, is the integration, Venus, of our values, Taurus, into our body. Whereas Pluto in Scorpio is our deeper passions, our soul's values. It's our capability to embody our soul's values on a deep level, to be real, to share our soul's power and essence with other people. It's also the relationship, again, between evolution and integration. The Pluto-Venus relationship deals a lot with magnetism. Venus is this electromagnetic field that sends information in and out. Pluto is also this very magnetic, unconscious dynamic that has unconscious attractions and repulsions. So when we're looking at Venus and Pluto, they have a very powerful magnetic dynamic dealing with attraction, repulsion, and the embodiment of our soul's passions, our deeper values, into form and into expression. Mercury and Jupiter deals with beliefs, our belief systems. Jupiter is our intuitive, big picture perspective. Jupiter is the top of the mountain, bird's eye view, looking at everything like a topographical map. Mercury is the conceptual understanding, the bits and pieces, the words, the chapters in the story, the literature that makes up the belief systems. And so this again has to deal with the relationship between our left and right brain, our philosophies, our truths, and our capability to express these things with others and teach. The relationship between Moon and Saturn is the integration of the Moon, our ego, our personal identity, with Saturn, the world. Deals a lot with heritage, again, culture, tradition. Our cultural status is the relationship between Moon and Saturn. Again, what we're doing out there and how that brings emotional satisfaction is the relationship between the Moon and Saturn. Sun is our identity in the present. The sun is the present moment in astrology. It's what is here, now, shows up, knocks on the door, says, hey, how are you? That's the sun. Uranus is the future. What is unknown? What's yet to come? It's the capability to introduce new dimensional possibilities by breaking through eureka moments, realization. And so the relationship between the sun and Uranus is the relationship between our current creative self-expression, how we identify in the present, and how our own identity and self-expression is continuing to evolve and change in the future. It's about the liberation of our true identity, okay? It's the relationship of ourself, the sun, our own ego. The sun is our chariot. It's the vehicle that's leading us throughout life, whereas Uranus is the whole. It's the collective. It is Our individuated unconsciousness is actually Uranus. It is all of our lifetimes of being an individual is contained in Uranus, whereas the sun is how we identify on the surface now. The relationship between sun and Uranus is the liberation of our true self-identity. Okay, Mercury-Neptune, again, is going to deal a lot with belief systems. Neptune is God. It is our connection to the whole. Mercury is our analytical mind, what's noticing the details, the little bits and pieces. Okay? So this is going to deal with our imagination. Mercury is the mind. Neptune is dreams, goals. When we see Mercury and Neptune come together, we get natural visionaries, powerful creatives, very, very powerful imaginations, fantasy writers, so on and so forth. And so again, this is going to deal with belief systems as well. Mercury, our capability to express and communicate our own understanding. Neptune, how we are connecting that to what gives us a sense of purpose and meaning and connection to the bigger whole. Oh. Where's my other slides? Oh, that's it. That's right, only 6 polarities. Okay, so let's see, we've been talking for about an hour and a half, so we're right on track here. And so we can now move on to a Q&A for anyone who has any questions about anything we've mentioned. And I know that some people are interested in receiving the notes on the planetary pairs in the high octave. So I will write that up for you all. If you have any questions about anything we've mentioned so far, there should be, if you click at the bottom, it says participants. You can click that button, and someone said 2 hours and a half. Oh, you're right, 2.5 hours. Wow, I am a Gemini. Okay, so anyways, thank you for everyone who stuck around for your patience. Time flies. Again, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand by clicking participants at the bottom and then clicking your hand, and I will then unmute you and you can speak into the microphone and ask any questions that you have. I'm not seeing any hands. You can also write in the chat box. This is a great sign. Everybody knows the Zodiac. Everybody knows the whole polarities like the back of their hand. Wonderful. Kim, do you have a question? Okay, let me unmute you. For some reason, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was looking in the wrong spot. So, okay, so I have a question from Kim. We'll begin with you. Kim, how are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
I don't know. This question is not really about the polarities, but I guess I was thinking about, like, I get a little confused with Pluto and the polarity point. You know, like how Pluto is where our soul was in the past life, correct?
Yeah.
And then the north and south node, because the north and south node are kind of the same thing, right? But they're in, mine are in different signs. So, I mean, so if my Pluto is perfect, but my south node is in Scorpio.
Yes.
How does that relate to each other?
Good question, because both Pluto and the moon's nodes are probably the most important polarities in the birth chart. I mean, you look at your moon's nodes, that polarity is going to depict a huge amount of the theme that you're working through in this life, as well as the house and sign position of Pluto. So what Kim is referencing is coming from Jeffrey Wolf Green's Evolutionary Astrology, Pluto Volume 1, where he talks about the Pluto polarity point. This is particularly where polarity is very important. The sign and the house opposite to Pluto is our soul's evolutionary intentions and desires throughout this lifetime and usually many lifetimes. This is also true with the moon's nodes, so it's both. The moon's nodes and Pluto, for example, you look at the moon's south node is what's been conditioned, what's in the past. The moon's north node is our soul's evolutionary intentions and desires through this life, as well as the Pluto polarity point. So again, Virgo Pisces is the nature of doing astrology. You look at the bits and pieces and you have to put them all together. Most of us are going to have our Plutos and our moon's nodes in different signs. And that's going to, both will depict our soul's evolutionary intentions. There is one exception. If Pluto is within 10 degrees of the moon's north node, there is no Pluto polarity point. The moon's north node will always, in some way, shape, or form, depict our soul's evolutionary intention. Not necessarily the Pluto polarity point if Pluto and the moon's north node is conjunct. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Kim?
Sorta. I mean, so basically you have to just kind of combine those. So if my polarity point is Pisces in the 12th, but my north node is Taurus in the 2nd, basically I'm working toward the Pisces in the 12th, but the way I'm going to do it is through Taurus in the 2nd, kind of? Or?
No, this is not a simple question. This is basically the basis of evolutionary astrology. And so if you're interested in learning evolutionary astrology, I'm actually putting together a several-year course with myself and other astrologers. And if you're interested in that, that's something I can definitely refer you to. It's in Pluto Book 1 and Pluto Book 2. It goes into both Pluto and the moon's nodes. So you look at really the relationship between Pluto and the nodes to know the most deep, unconscious, and underlying evolutionary intentions throughout this life. And that's not necessarily where we begin in learning astrology. So I'm absolutely incapable of covering all of that in one workshop. But it's a good question because the polarity, again, in the moon's nodes, the houses of the moon's nodes are going to be very important. And is it ever really a case of doing just the north node? It's always about balance. Wherever your moon's nodes are, that's the polarity by sign and house that you are balancing. And by bringing that balance into your life, this is the desires of your soul that allows you to step into your soul's potential. And usually many of the themes, the experiences and dynamics of our life are revealed in that polarity of the moon's nodes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kim. And again, I would be very happy for anybody who is interested in learning how to do chart interpretation. There's quite a lot in chart interpretation. And so I'd be very happy to share resources or provide information to get connected with our upcoming EA course. Okay. Quick question, how do you work out the paradox and the polarities? I mean, I think that's what we just talked about, I can't really say it more than we already just did. It's all about balance, okay. Well, if you came in late, then there'll be a recording emailed to you and be sure to check that because that's what this whole workshop is about. Okay, I'm going to move to, and by the way, if you have questions that come up later, I know that some people may be coming in late. Please feel free to email me. Okay, Alex, go ahead with your question. How are you doing, Alex?
Hi, I'm good. I was typing because I wasn't sure you were seeing my question.
I got it now. I got to the hands. Yes.
Very basic as usual. You mentioned at the beginning, opposite attracts each other. Mm-hmm. So in relationship, does it mean your most harmonious is going to be with the opposite one?
Well, this is actually a really good question because this is one of the areas where I see way too much oversimplification in astrology. Oh, I'm an Aries, they're a Libra. Oh, I'm a Capricorn, they're a Cancer. We just don't vibe, It's like, well, it's the whole chart. There's a composite chart, there's synastry charts. Again, there's a lot that goes into a relationship. And so generally true, opposites do attract. Oftentimes we will find ourselves attracted to people who may embody the opposite sign this is not necessarily true, and this is not necessarily the only thing that will attract us to another person. There are different types of soul relationships. There are even relationships where two people seem amazingly alike. They are very rare, but there is such a thing as what might be called the same soul. And two people may seem nearly identical. I mean, you might have seen them, you probably haven't, but you might have seen a couple who look the same, act the same, value the same things. This is possible as well. So the actual nature of relationship is dependent on one thing, and that is the evolutionary intentions and desires of the soul. We oftentimes enter into relationships to resolve past life dynamics or to continue our own individual soul's journey. And that's oftentimes where opposites do attract. Hey, my soul is all this way and needs to learn this, and so I'm attracted to this person who embodies all the opposite qualities, and we come together, and in that Scorpio function of merging and pooling together, we start to balance each other out, which is how we actualize the high octave of our own individual nature, if that makes sense. So both of these questions are really touching upon the fact that polarity is inherent within all of these dynamics in astrology. You can always use polarity, but there's more than just this too. You know, it's kind of the foundation and the base of a lot of dynamics, but when we actually start getting into why souls are coming together, what's the nature of our journey throughout life, it obviously becomes more complex than just A and B and black and white, you know, if that makes sense.
It would be too easy otherwise, wouldn't it?
It would be too easy. We would just study a 2-hour workshop and then be just like, got it. I don't have to learn or grow ever again.
I'm going to go for Aries.
You know, the Zodiac is so deep and so multifaceted and so complex. We will continue to study the Zodiac throughout this life and many lifetimes like a black hole of endless pit, and it just gets richer and deeper as we continue to evolve. Thank you, Alex. It's a really great question. I appreciate that. Let me go to Golden Hawk. Hi, Golden. How are you doing?
Hi, Tim. Great webinar, workshop. I enjoyed it very much. So my question is, does timing have anything to do, or is there a timing aspect where the integration can take place, or it's more optimal that it would take place?
That's a great question. And the answer is it will be completely dependent on the individual.
Okay.
Souls will go through periods of evolution at particular times. This in somewhat is where astrology can be predictive. Not in the sense that, hey, I personally don't think the future can be predicted. The future is unknown, but we can say, hey, there's going to be a period of a lot of evolution and change these years, and then there's probably going to be a period of slowing down and integrating these years. So that can definitely be a factor. The timing of when we're growing, when we're evolving is meant to be different for every individual. A child may have a very intense childhood, for example, and then they may smooth out later in their life, and someone may be born into a very privileged, entitled situation and need to get moving, you know.
Right.
And there's going to be souls. This is ultimately what it plays down to, is that Taurus Scorpio polarity is where souls can resist their own desires for evolution. We have free will, and because we can resist evolution, that's going to change things. We may go through periods where there's an opportunity to evolve and we can resist that evolution, and that's where a soul can start creating skipped steps. If we resist evolution, we will set ourselves up to be pushed there and resolve that later. And so, again, this is kind of a fuzzy area where, yes, there's times of change and evolution, but we do have free will. We can resist evolution. I don't recommend it. It does make things harder for us in the long run.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
It's also possible for souls to go through lifetimes of intensity and evolution and get very worn down and very exhausted, in which case a lifetime can be about integrating and settling down and integrating those past lifetimes of intense evolution.
Right on. Right on.
Great question. Thank you,
Thank you.
Golden Hawk.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And so I've got a question from Liv. Let me see if I can find you here. Where are you? Can you unmute yourself? I see you. Oh, here we go. Hi, Liv. How are you doing?
I am well. Thank you. This class was amazing. I've learned so much. I hope I can remember it all, but I feel like my eyes are open and my heart's open and I'm getting a deeper understanding. I'm very grateful for this teaching.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the fact that you stuck around for 3 hours means a lot. So thank you to everyone who stuck around.
I'm driving in a rainstorm right now. That's how much I love this astrology and I love the way you teach. I had to switch over to the cell phone and keep driving.
Thank you.
So my question, I'm a novice. I mean, I'm followed for years as a hobby and dabbled, but I have a deep calling to use this in the healing paradigm. And a lot of the questions I had is how I would look at the chart when I was doing a healing session, the soul's past karma, the soul's purpose to unravel a story, so to speak. I guess a quick glance at the chart before I brought them into a past life regression session is the way that astrology I feel is going to be used at this present moment. That could evolve as well. So a lot of the questions were answered, but I have seen through friends' charts as I'm learning how to study, and I'm going to take a course with you guys when you start it. How I've seen a lot of retrograde action. I have a lot of it in my chart, and I've seen it in friends of mine chart in the same age group. When things are heavily retrograded, I feel a lot of times when I sit with this in meditation that retrograde is seen so negatively. Is it true that it could actually be a blessing? Is this a reflection maybe, and to use the retrogrades as highly meditative times? Is it a stalling in one's chart? Is it sitting in this position? Can this be overcome with heavy planetary retrogrades in a particular house and sign?
Okay.
Do you understand? Is this the cauldron of change that I'm looking at when I see it heavily in my chart and friends' charts? Or is this, am I misunderstanding?
No misunderstanding. And yeah, I'll definitely quickly answer this, but it's not exactly related to the material in this workshop. But I will say,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Since it's already been stated, we might as well answer, which is there's nothing negative about retrograde. This is one of those really stupid, stereotyped astrologers overhyping things, which is usually coming out of kind of money-making schemes. Hey, Mercury retrograde happens so many times a year. You know, and it's just like, no, this is not what retrograde means. Retrograde, ours. Rebel, review, revert. It is about introversion. So yes, it's a very meditative time. It's a very introverted time. The retrograde symbol is associated with Uranus and Aquarius. It's about doing things differently than the rest of society. Mercury retrograde souls think differently. Venus retrograde souls value different things or have different relationships, right? Mars retrograde souls may do things differently, may be different in actualizing their desires, and they do tend to be more introverted. Mercury retrograde souls, less outspoken, more introverted, all right? So it's introverted, it's rolled back, it's about reviewing, and it's about doing things differently than how the rest of the world does things, which means when there's a lot of planetary retrogrades, the way that there is this summer, it's a time of change. Souls that have many retrograde planets are going to be natural pioneer types. They're going to be different. They're going to want to do things on their own. They're going to be rebellious. Jupiter retrograde, for example, discovering their own truth, not necessarily into mainstream religion. you know?
Ah,
People with retrograde, highly retrograde charts will have to separate from the rest of the world. They will go through periods of almost brooding or even extreme dissatisfaction with the world is typical. I have a bunch of retrograde planets. I do it all the time. It's not actually a problem. It's about discovering your own reality by separating from the status quo or the consensus.
wow. Wow. Thank
Great
you.
question.
That was a huge reveal. Thank you. So I'm going to go study these 3 charts, totally different, along with using the polarity. And I know it's not totally pertinent to this workshop, but it is in a way that the charts that I've been studying and trying to learn, the retrogrades are in both polarities heavily. So you can see how this would send me in a tailspin. I was like, that's a lot of information to have
Yeah,
them.
and retrograde planets are more powerful and draw attention to themselves. So when we go through a retrograde phase, for example, we have a Venus retrograde beginning in just a few weeks. It's going to really bring attention to relationships, really draws attention to itself.
Wow.
Thank you,
Well,
Liv.
thank you for your indulgence. Thank you, everyone. And so deep gratitude and love for you, Timothy. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Liv. And just a quick public announcement. For those who have any questions, this is why I have the Patreon group. People can ask questions at any point, at any time. You can pay as little as $2 a month to get access to the forum and post me questions anytime. So let's see here. I'm not seeing any raised hands at this particular time. I'm going to go through the chat box here. In regards to how we experience the archetypes in our chart in this life, are we mostly faced with the challenges from the polarity of that specific archetype? Or do we embody the archetype already and need to go to its polarity? Always polarity. Polarity is where we achieve the high balance of every sign, right? So again, using the example of Aries, leadership is wonderful if it's in balance with relationship. If leadership is not in balance with relationship, then it's not quality leadership, right? So it's always about that balance, any archetype, any sign. And there's other parts of the chart, planetary aspects, planetary rulerships, the moon's nodes will also reveal the evolutionary journey and what's being cultivated, how, why. So there's more than just the polarity as well, but I would say that to embody the high octave, it's always about balance. And the moon's nodes, it's a really great place to look. That's the balance that we're bringing into our life. To get back to what some of Kim was saying originally, and then the question we just had from Liv, in regards to past lives, I highly recommend the work of Patricia Walsh. She wrote a book about a decade ago called it's gone. The name of the book is gone. But Google Patricia Walsh, and it's a book that she wrote that's very much about the moon's nodes. And she gives that type of past life interpretation, how to work with these dynamics, how to find that balance. I really, really recommend it. Karmic Complexes. Thank you so much, Irina. Check out Karmic Complexes by Patricia Walsh. It is a masterpiece. It's very much looking at these polarities, these dynamics, and specifically how they tie in with past lives and this unconsciousness of the soul. Okay. And I'm looking at Irina's question, for example, Sun in the 7th house in Libra. So there's going to be a dynamic of finding balance between the Sun, which is our creative purpose. In the 7th house is going to want to share that creative purpose with others and might be a natural social butterfly, which is going to need the balance of the 1st house, Aries. So always that balance is always any planet, any sign, any house. It's always a part of the dynamic. Again, it's just if the Sun's in the 7th house, okay, we don't want to be dependent on relationships, just like the Sun in Libra. You can look at the house, you can look at the sign, and again, it all comes together. This is why computers are not about to replace astrologers anytime soon. It's too much. It's too much for a computer or a cookbook to provide these answers to. Okay, so I just want to touch base once more that everybody has had their questions voiced who has questions. And I heard from, Maurizio that some people may have come in late. And so you are welcome to review the video that I will email out following the closure of this meeting and shoot me questions through email as well as go back and add some notes to the workbook and send that out to you all. And if that's not all too much and I'm capable of continuing to do this, I hope to continue to do a workshop per month in the future and work out the kinks as well. So thank you so much. And again, last call for any questions before we wrap up for today. And thank you so much for sticking around for 3 hours on this lovely Sunday. You must be very excited or very patient souls. So I thank you for sticking around. All right. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. I'm wishing you the best and enjoy the rest of your September, okay? Please do take care. Bye-bye, everybody.